Oh, hello, everyone.
Hello.
We have everybody here. We missing anybody?
Oh, I'm sure we are, but do we know we're missing them? Probably not.
We're missing Mike. I think Mike's not here.
Mike Seeley's not here yet.
He was here.
He was here.
Yeah, he was. He said hello.
He did. I saw him in the back room, in the green
Steve,
room.
how are you, bud?
Doing good.
Good. It's great to see you.
All right, guys. Let me just see. Dev, you want to just see if we can find out what happened to Mike?
Yep, I will shoot something off to him real quick. Looks like we've got Nicolas.
He got a message. He says, and crashed and rebooting. Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
There you go.
Okay.
He got a message out. That's good.
Well, it's always good to know when you're going down, right? So, we haven't had a live chat in a while, guys, and I'm going to address a few really quick things just so we can get people that out of the way. First of all, hello to everybody, and glad to have you back. I know I've had quite a bit of complaints why we haven't chatted, why we haven't updated, and that really kind of all falls on me for the most part. Just for those who don't know, my sister got COVID-19 really badly. She almost passed, actually, and I had brother duty, uncle duty, everything else. So it was very hectic. So first of all, I apologize for not getting be able to really kind of talk to everybody. Hopefully things are on the mend and things are getting normal. My sister's doing well, and the kids are doing well, and my youngest nephew will be out of school at the end of the week, so that will hopefully put a little bit of a breather on things. Okay, a couple of other things. I'm just going to hit real fast, guys. Point Blank. Again, same reason why I hadn't updated. Sean jumped in for me and posted something. I appreciate that. We're still waiting for China to tell us when proofs are coming, how proofs are coming. Things extremely chaotic with that situation, which I will not waste our time me whining about that now. But things are on schedule as far as we have done our part. I apologize for those who not getting any updates. And as soon as we have something, we will post. We will be talking about it on some of the future shows, which will be in the next, before the end of this year, there'll be 2 more shows, and I'll speak on that later. Deb, am I forgetting anything?
I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff we could go over, but I don't think we're going to jump into any of that right now. You may, do we want to speak on the projected time plan when we do get the proofs from Point Blank from China back yet?
I don't want to.
Here's Mike.
I don't want to say anything until something. Hey, Mike, we volunteered you for 5 or 6 more things. You weren't here to vote yourself out, so.
That's okay. I had the thought I should reboot this laptop before I get going here. No, it'll be fine. Yeah. Always reboot.
Be careful what you wish for.
I rebooted everything before I sat down, man. Okay. Is there anything else? Oh, I will mention Nations at War, the computer game. Some of you guys have left messages. Oh, you're posting 5,000 things for Locking with Tactical Digital, nothing for Nations at War, blah, blah, blah. First, different development teams. The development team that's doing Locking with Tactical, obviously the guy is extremely dedicated. He works in it all the time. And, you know, you see the results of that. The team that was doing Nations at War, they bailed on us. We do have all the source code. Yes, all the source code has been converted to Unity. Okay, we've gone through 2 programming guys who wanted to see if they could do it. We didn't feel it was not that they weren't good enough. That's really the term I'm looking for. But we felt that we could have get a better team with more people to get things out quicker. All the code for the game is done, but there's improvements that need to be done. AI could be better. We have all the scenarios laid out. We just need someone to finish it. So I don't expect it to be a big job. It's just getting the right people, and that's important, guys. Okay, and that also is where, as of now, where the World at War 85 team is going to come from. We are in talks with some other guys, and once we have some news in that, I will take the time to update everybody on it. Do you have anything else?
Like I said, I'm sure there's a lot that we could go over, but nothing that comes to mind right this instant.
Well, you make a list, Dev, and we'll go over your list and check it twice.
What, you're trusting me to do this? Come on.
No, but it gives us a good, person to blame when it goes wrong.
Ah, okay. Blame the fat kid. I'm okay with that.
Okay, so, gentlemen, I'm going to let everyone kick in. We have this is basically primarily for World at War 85, and it's, let's say, series of games and ideas. Dev is a little bit of everything. He runs many of our video shows and podcasts. He also runs with Johnny, what do we call that show?
Friendly Fire.
Friendly Fire, which hasn't been fired in a while. That's on Dev.
It's a hang fire at this point. So,
Okay. Steve, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good.
Are you all officially retired now, and you're still working through that?
I'm still working through that. I got 8 more days.
Oh,
8 more
congratulations!
days.
Well, thank you for your service. I can't really say
Welcome.
that strong enough.
Truly.
And for those who don't know, Steve is working on our naval game for World at War 85, and very excited about that. I had a very good time playing that, and I don't remember I was beating up Devin or Keith, but a win is a win.
Well, Devin and I were beating on each other, and we couldn't figure out who was winning, so that's always good.
yeah.
Okay. Then we have Nicolas here. Nicolas, how you doing, buddy?
Doing pretty good. Maybe Keith not so much, but I'm still cleaning parts of Keith from the tracks of my T80s. Actually,
He didn't school me. He rolled over me.
Well, that's a lesson
this morning. Well, very rarely do you have a scenario where your entire left flank just collapses, and it's like, wow, I don't have any more units over there. This is bad. It was a great game. We had a blast.
All right, and then Mike is a new member of the team. Mike, I haven't even talked to Mike before. I think other than a short little email here and there. How you doing, Mike? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Any arrests or judgments against your private?
Doing good. I can sympathize with Keith. My brother Dave and I played this last week and managed to almost win, but his A10 came in right at the end of the game and just obliterated a whole column.
Yes.
You can't count on everything going right all the time. So, but yeah, happy to be here, working on Vassal stuff, and got that new update out. Interested to see what people have to say about it.
Yeah, well, we have more of that to show. Just so you know, we'd like to let everyone know that Mike is handling all of our new Vassal modules, any updates, stuff like that. Trent, who was doing it, Trent Gardner, he had to step away due to family issues. Nothing wrong, anything like that, but we want to really thank him for he brought us so far along compared to where we were. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, he put a great foundation for everything that I'm just standing on the shoulders of giants here.
Well, there you go. Then we expect nothing less but an extra strike, buddy. Okay, Keith and Jeff, everyone knows some of the main designers behind the World at War 85 series. And we're going to answer your questions, but do you want to start off with the Vassal Changes first, Keith? How would you like to do this, guys?
Let's start off with the Vassal Changes, yeah. Because then I don't have to do that. There's a rule, never go first.
Yes, that's a good rule.
No, I think the most precipitous stuff we have is the Vassal Changes out of the gate. So,
all right, I just gotta find pictures here because, of course. Okay, this is where the ticker in the bottom is where you're going to find our Vassal modules for all the games. Okay, if you do find a bug or something like that, I don't know. Mike and I do have to talk to set up something where he can get bug reports and where they look. Normal places where looking is Facebook and the forums and Discord, of course. Realize that just because you posted it does not mean we have seen it necessarily immediately. And Mike has a life, even if he won't tell us. Okay, I do not want him. Guys, give him some time to get his jacket on and realize what we're doing here.
The life is around here somewhere. It gets misplaced in all the clutter. So we'll find it.
It's hiding behind that Roman legion in the back.
Something like that.
Okay, so let's see now. Let me see. I know I have pictures here. And probably in good form. I didn't upload them, did I? Okay, we're going to do that later. I'm going to upload this as we're doing that. I thought I had done that actually, guys. Okay. Well, you know what? Let's do this then. Steve, why don't you give us an update on where you are? Now, for those who don't know, not only is Steve doing the naval game, but he's also been a tremendous help in getting us going on finishing the orders of battle, double checking them for Trial of Strength. And if you don't know what that is, good. If you do, then I already know you. I got your nasty emails. I know we're working on it. So why don't you talk a little bit about the game, Steve? And I got a map here for you, if that helps at all.
Sure. So, yes, the Trial of Strength effort put me a little bit behind on this because that was definitely harder than I thought it was going to be.
It was a trial of strength.
Yeah. I'm not sure I passed, but I attempted it. So the World of War 85 naval game, I forget the exact name that we're going with. Devin is the namer of the game.
Oh no, I'm not.
He's not the neighbor. I think we're still under working title right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think Devin said it had to have the storming in the name. So,
Storming the sea.
Storming. I think the working title for it is now Storming the Atlantic or Storming the North Atlantic. David, can you confirm on that?
I think the game is northern. Well, no, I got the box cover here.
There was a Northern Fleet version, but Storming the Atlantic works.
See, we don't even have an actual title for it yet. How does that reflect on us?
Well,
that's all good.
We change the titles as we go along. We go with a better idea, and then that's what happens to it.
Yeah, I'm not a good namer. So we're going along. So after the playtesting and stuff at ProtoCon came back, I had some folks go over the rules. So I'm working on making the rules better. But then also doing some internal playtesting. I had to redo a couple of the systems just a little bit because they didn't actually come out with the exact results that I was looking for. So I went through and redid the aircraft a little bit, reworked some of the stats, and reworked some of the ships. It takes a while when I rework something because there's 176 ships and subs in the game and 88 aircraft. So it takes a while to go back through and make sure everything's all sorted with that. And then since David said I could go to blocks, I'm having to rework the rules and just work through that on the playtesting for the blocks. So we're making good progress. I have the scenarios mapped out. So 12 scenarios with 3 of them being various versions of a campaign and just making progress on that.
Excellent.
All right,
Wait, you let him do blocks? That's cool.
Well, I'm sort of, I'm simple. So just to try to get away from some of those markers is to use, blocks instead of other counters and stuff like that. So it makes it easier for me, at least, to see the counters that are underneath and kind of keep track of the stats of where things are at.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I like that.
What was the size of the map we were seeing there?
I think it was standard map. It looked like 22
by 34.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the plan is to it'd be split in half or something for print it out, but I forget.
Yeah, because then you get a pair of 11 by 17s.
Yep.
Yeah, looks good.
And we do know that we showed some counters. I think we still have those counters with the silhouettes are a little. I think they're not actual. We're using the old NATO style. There we go.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
So can you explain some of the numbers on this for us, Steve, if you don't mind. I'll see if I can get a counter up for you right now as we're talking.
Okay, let me see if I can find one that has more. All right, so for example, kind of keeping with the World at War 85 system, you've got firepower is usually the bottom, or it is the bottom number. So in the upper left, that's anti-air firepower for this Vincennes, and the H shows that it has a helicopter. The bottom is movement. The bottom right is anti-submarine, and the bottom left is close defense value. So it's trying to keep in that same vein as a World of War 85. So you roll how many firepower you have. You've got your to hit number, and then you also have a range on there. So it's keeping very similar to the whole World of War 85 system with the different stats to make it kind of fast playing and easy to understand what you're
It's
doing.
a die 10 system?
Yes.
Yeah.
Even though, it's not the preferred, but
What's a variant? It's all good.
It makes it easier to change the stats up when you're going through there to differentiate between the systems between a 6 and a 10.
Right.
Right. And Steve, how many scenarios are you looking for us to have, and what's the plans as far as you have them?
So I have 12 scenarios mapped out, and then 3 of them will be like variations of the campaign type system. So like a longer campaign where the other 9 are shorter scenarios that you can either, some will play on one map and some will play on 2. But it's more of smaller task force or surface action groups or something like that, against each other. And then the campaign, you have to keep track more of bringing in reinforcements and getting effects over a longer time.
Oh, by the way, Steve, if you need any help with the Danes, if you're including them, because I see there's a Baltic on the map, one of my usual opponents is at the Danish Military Academy. So in terms of getting data, I think he should be able to help there.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, we're going to take some questions now. This is going to be, I guess, hey, Craig, how you doing? Steve, that's up for you, buddy.
An ISIT class hovercraft. Let me Google that real quick. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say that's a built-in type of thing. Oh, like an LCAC, Soviet LCAC. Yeah, there's no LCACs or anything like that in the system. So there are amphibious ships in there, but that's mainly, getting them from point A to point B, not necessarily simulating the actual landing itself. There's no ground forces in the game. I'll leave that to the other guys.
We'll do that. We'll link that.
Yep.
There's another one for you.
Yep, bomber missile attacks. Yeah, so like here's a backfire counter.
Hated those guys. Yeah.
So backfires, Badgers. That's all in there.
All right. You got any other counters you want to show? Any type of other weapons, Steve? Anything you might want to?
I didn't bring the missiles down, but we got subs, regular subs. There's a Los Angeles class sub. Let's see, what's this one? An Oscar 1. So ships, aircraft, and subs are all in there. There's no infantry or anything like that. There could be simulated effects that happen, but there's no actual like ground combat.
Okay. Yeah. Well, now you're going to have you're all going to have amphibious assaults, and how is that going to work since it's not technically ground combat? As far as can you capture a base report or anything like that?
It'll be more of like a scenario objective to get those folks to where they're going, and then that's in the design of the scenario. But for the longer campaign, that's part of, again, getting those troops there, and it's more of a you can't invade the Soviet Union in this on this scale. It just wasn't like a big thing that was going to happen during this time period. Same thing, the Soviets aren't necessarily going to invade England, so that's not really in there. Okay.
And another question for you on the screen, buddy.
How many counters? So right now there's 176 ships and subs for everybody, and 88 aircraft for everyone. The Baltic is not really in the current scenario. It's all the North Atlantic. if it is popular, we could, have a Baltic option or something like that. But there's not a lot of maneuver space in the Baltic. It's very tight and it's very shallow in a lot of places, and it's there's just not a lot of maneuver room in there.
It's not a submariner's best dream.
Oh, actually, according
have
to
a
my
lot of-
source, it is because
Yeah.
of the temperatures. It's apparently impossible to detect a sub in there
Yeah,
because
they
of
have
the thermal gradients.
Yeah, they have a lot of smaller subs in there, and the Soviets. Again, I'm not a Soviet planner, but I mean, they would have had a hard time getting all the way out of the Baltic with everything going on in there.
All right, here's another question for you, buddy. Oh wait, I think I skipped. Did we get this one? Unit sizes? Sorry.
So it's individual ships and individual submarines, and then aircraft are in sections. So it could be a section of 2, a section of 4, or it could be an individual aircraft like a E2 or a P3. Worked on a more of an individual thing. So the counters, like a Tomcat counter, that's going to be more like a pair of Tomcats, like on cap or something like that. So the aircraft size can vary based on like what their mission is and what they're doing.
Okay, and coming from James.
Is that for the ground game or the naval game?
Oh, I think that's for Jeff.
Oh,
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah,
Comparing it a little bit to Second Fleet, there's not quite as much math involved. It's again more of that World of War 85 style where your firepower and you're rolling against that, not having to add and divide and all that stuff. So
I
it makes
can't
it
say
simpler for me.
Yeah, I can't say, having played the playtest scenario a couple times, notably with Devin, that just like with the ground game where you get this integration of anti-tank guided missiles and tanks and infantry and all that stuff. Here you get the whole, I've got my P3 Orions, I've got my backfires, I've got my task force, I've got my missiles, I have a limited amount of naval missile supply, I have my transports I have to protect, I have to be 3 different places at once, I have to detect him. You get that whole combined arms feeling, totally naval flavored. So we were like giggling when we finished the playtest. And that's not even the fully developed version.
Okay, we got another question for you. This is, hey Philip, how you doing, buddy? I'll leave that one to you also there, Steve.
So it's roughly somewhere between 6 and 8 hours is the turn scale.
Okay, and
And the hexes are what, 40 or 50 miles? per
They're
kilometer?
roughly, I mean, trying to take a globe and lay it flat is not fun, but it's roughly 40 to 45 nautical miles.
all right.
All right, I'm gonna have to take a quick break. The dog needs out.
Okay.
Absolutely.
No, I can answer this one. No, it's not the next game out. It will probably be the 3rd game in the series. The next game out for World at War 85 is going to be Blood and Fury. And that name is set.
That's been set for a while. Yeah. Don't change that or I won't know what you're talking about.
I know. So then what we'll do is we'll don't have a time set for this, but it is a lot further along than some of the World at War games, if you really think about it. So we have that. We will be telling you somewhere during the show, roughly when we think we're going to start the Kickstarter and what our plans going forward are. That was one of the main purpose of the show. Show some of the brilliance of the design team as far as the scenarios and stuff that we have coming out. Let me see. Okay, guys, look, we have a positive comment. Just note this.
Yeah. We don't get many of those. We got to take those where we can find them.
That's right. Okay, guys, if I missed any of your questions, because there's a lot of you on here today, just, by all means, repost them. Just don't think I'm leaving out. I just sometimes miss you. Okay, do we have any other questions about Steve's naval game? Does Steve have anything he wants to throw in that we may have left out?
It's a lot like World of War 85, where you draw the cards to activate the different formations and everything like that. So that's how you go through the turns. That wasn't, I didn't explain that very well.
Okay. And anything else unique about the game? Come on, guys, jump in here.
Hey, I've been throwing stuff out there.
Keith,
No, seriously, the unique thing is that the test of a game of this scale or the ground game for me is how fast can you get past the mechanics to start thinking tactically or operational. So if your first thought is, I have 3 different tables to go to find out how many movement points I have, and then I have to calculate it, like that to me is a different kind of game. That's a simulation kind of thing. If you have the something like this, Dev and I sat down and he started to explain. I think like 5 minutes we were playing.
Yeah,
we were like, where should I move that task force to be most effective? And I guess I do need to bring my P3 in to actually detect, so it can fire standoff missiles, that kind of stuff. And that's, it's got that out of the gate, and that's what the meat of it right there. So whatever it ends up being, that's the core of it.
Yeah.
So I'm curious on D10 versus D6. What's the history or the genesis behind that? I don't have a problem with the D10s. I like them. So
it gives you a lot more space to differentiate between weapon systems and effects and stuff like that. Whereas a D6 only gives you so much. So I didn't want the whole stats, everything to have like a very similar, almost like the same number to make everything fit. Because then it looks like all the ships and everything are the same when there's actually, between some of the generations of ships and aircraft, I mean, there's various gradients that, may not show up on a D6.
So we have some kind of like the 4 or 5 D10s per side to think about it. It's not bucketfuls of dice kind of thing.
No, but I mean, there is.
The maximum's like 5 is it still like 5-ish?
Yeah, 4 or 5, and that's mainly when you're defending against incoming surface missiles or air-to-surface missiles. So when you're firing, defense against that.
Right.
All right, and then someone just asked a great comment. Joe Wood is good to get the reward for the best asked questions so far. 20 minutes in, Joe. Good question.
So I do not have a solo system set up for it. There is no hidden information, but I mean, David and some other folks have, come up with some great solo systems for that type of stuff. So if I had to work on that, that would blow my mind, but it is no hidden information. So no planned solo system, exactly.
Now, that doesn't mean no, guys. It just means we haven't, until we get the whole game done, it's kind of pointless to work on. And we do have a method with the solo system, card system we've been using. So.
And we can always hand it off to Sean, because we know Sean loves working on solo systems.
Yeah, Sean, that is one of Sean's favorite designs things. Yeah, I'm waiting for the phone to start ringing. All right. Gordon has a question, which I think I can answer here. Gordon, with the next World of War 85 game, will you do another big, not his map? I'm not sure what that means, guys. Jordan, you have
his historical map. Yes.
Oh, map. Okay.
It'll be and David can correct me on this. My understanding is we're going to have it's going to not going to be an 8 map. It's going to be a 4 map in Blood and Fury, and then we're going to do another 4 map in the next volume. We shall hold, because the 2 together got so big we had to split them into 2 games. But those 8 will also fit together to be one area. So it's like the bottom half of one area, the top half of another area, and then we're going to have 8 to have an area in Germany. Where we have Jeff, our large scenario expert, has already generated scenarios for the top half, the bottom half, and he and I were playing the joint scenario already to test it. And wow, that was so much fun! Anytime you have 2 Soviet air assault battalions, yeah.
I was losing in that playtest, so I've since added some more. But
well, no, but to be honest, you've got these 2 Soviet era assault battalions, and he took a gamble and he decided to put them both, like one north of the river with very little bridges, and the British in a reverse market garden decided to actually hit him in the flank, and I succeeded. I very rarely succeed. Ask Nicholas.
Well,
It was fun. It was really fun.
It's helicopters, if I'm not mistaken, Keith.
Lots of helicopters. Oh my goodness, so many helicopters.
Well, we had to put that blocking position to block your reinforcements. So.
That's right. But that was in the north side of the map. But the way these big games balance is at the southern end of the map, he just rolled right across the bridge. I didn't have anything to stop him, so I was going to be fighting on my side of the river, which is not the best way to hold a bridge. But this is the kind of situations you'll get where you can experiment with it. So, say you've got an air assault, you can land it anywhere. Well, where do you land it? And that's the fun that I find in this, that I think people like about the larger scenarios. Dares wins. There you go, Mo.
And with these larger scenarios too, I know you may have noticed, Keith, too, is like, you have these fights that end up devolving into their own little story. So there's one fight here for the bridge. Here's the other one with the airborne trying to block the reinforcements. Mm-hmm. They're separate theaters almost and everything, but they do have an impact on each other.
Right. And it's funny because Steve's game, the naval game, you get that too. So that flavor's in there too. But because the scale's bigger, you kind of get it 7X's away, and here's the troops invading Norway. Okay, but here's the submarines who are trying to take out my task force, and how do I deal with this? And then Devon's backfires show up and just screw everything.
I will say about the naval game is that air power is frighteningly scary. It doesn't go off all that often because they've got to take the time to rearm and everything, so they're not striking every turn. But when they show up, it's like, oh my god, now what do I do? Everything on tap.
Yeah, you're like, now I know I have an air force to stop those backfires.
Hey, Dev, I got a question for you. Dev's a retired naval genius, and do you feel is that how you felt at sea when you were in the Navy? That God forbid the air comes in.
You gotta remember, we were technically still at war with the Soviets when I was in. So when I was floating around the Pacific, and we used to have the backfires and the bears buzzing us. I mean, they'd fly by and we could wave to the guys on the plane. Any type of naval strike against us was concerning, be it from ships or from land-based bombers with the surface-to-surface, or from the air-to-surface, surface-to-surface missiles. We decided that if we ever had more than 3 missiles coming in at us within 2,000 yards of each other, we were just going to jump off the ship because it would overwhelm our defenses. So they're both very deadly. The problem is with naval, you can kind of see, all right, they're 150, 200 kilometers out. It's going to take a little bit for them to get in position, whereas the planes, they're moving several hundred miles an hour and can come at us from, the airstrikes were always a more dangerous threat, I guess you could say, because they could just all of a sudden show up. The naval capacity, we knew where the Soviet ships were at all times. And so if there was going to strike from them, we knew where the strike was coming from. The bombers, they can kind of fly all over the place really fast. And granted, our radar was pretty good, but it could still slip in between our radar screens and kind of get that knife into our guts. The airstrikes were probably more feared than strikes coming from Soviet surface groups or Soviet submarines.
Do you feel the game covers the flavor well for that?
Oh yeah, definitely. The one thing that I always loved, I was on Perry class frigates for most time, and we carried our Mark 13 missile system could carry 42 missiles, but we never carried 42. We carried about 30, and about half of those were MR1. MR12s, MR1s, MR2s, SM1s, SM2s, medium range, short range anti-surface missiles or anti-air missiles. We didn't carry any surface missiles. All we had were anti-aircraft missiles. And it's like, well, we got about 30 of them. What do we do when we run out? And that's the game reflects that you are tracking munitions. You have got to be very judicious in your use of your munitions because, in the time scale of the game, a scenario might only be 2 days long. You're not going to get a chance to rearm yourself. So if you want to go for a full alpha strike and unload your entire task group's missiles at once, you could do that, but you're not going to be shooting you're not going to take any shots for the rest of the game.
And so, Devin and I did that.
We did.
Very first salvo, we both did an alpha strike, and the very next thing, next turn, What do we do
now
now?
what? Can I get close enough to shoot
Maneuver
him
like
with
a-
my guns?
Right. It's like, maybe not. Okay. Maneuver.
So
That's
yeah,
when the
legit-
planes come in handy because they do get
Yes.
refurbished.
Yes.
It's a question for you, Jeff.
I think that's for
I
Steve.
think it's
there.
for Steve.
Sorry.
I'm hoping it's for Steve because I
They all
got
look the same on the screen, okay, guys? Your little images.
So the answer is yes. There's different layers. So when you set up a task force, there's different rings. Kind of have a anti-submarine ring and an anti-air ring, and then a ship, for example, like this Ticonderoga. It has a range of 1 on its anti-air systems, so it can shoot out. It gets a long-range shot before, say, this Oslo class. You can see its range is 0, so it doesn't get to shoot until the missiles are close. So there is a layering to the system that's worked into the rules.
Okay. All right, we have, just so you guys may not know this, we have an email address called AskUs, ASKUS, at lnlpublishing.com. And someone says I don't mention that enough, so I'm mentioning it. We do get questions in there. Sometimes you get 3 or 4 questions from different people, so I don't necessarily say, hey, Joe Smith asked this, because it may be Joe Smith before the people, and it's just timely. Some of the questions, hold on, I gotta find my other computer screen here. Okay. Okay, Steve, how many games do you think you want to do in this series? You have a rough idea. This is far from anything he's going to be being held to, guys.
Your mic's off, Steve.
Oh, my bad. So first, I have to finish the first one, and then it has to sell more than 10 copies to make David happy. And if it does that,
Wait, you got 10 copies just from the design team.
Just from everybody right here. Yeah.
that's why I said it's got to be more than that, right? And then again, we could go with sort of how it's set up in the World of War 85 timeline, because it is in an alternate universe, not necessarily in the previous universe, but I could see at least 3 or 4 follow-on versions with different parts of the world.
Okay, next question. Someone's asking what my shirt says. It says, socialism's ideas so good they have to be mandated. Okay. So yes, I'll take my anti-social.
the hate mail will start rolling in. Yes, we know this.
Yeah. The best one I saw, the best email I've got about that a show or two ago. Guy says, some of your customers could be socialists, and I said, well, fine, be a true socialist, buy an extra copy of the game and give it to someone that you like. And he blocked me since then. So I don't know. All right.
I don't know. It sounded like a simple solution to me.
Really, everyone's happy, right? That's supposedly how it's supposed to work. Someone wants to know.
Yeah, my fishy tank. All right, I'll go off on it a little bit. It's a 36-gallon bow front. I use it as a community tank, fresh water. It's kind of low right now. I've just got a single Plecostomus catfish in there, and he's hiding in his little cave down there. He might come out, and he swims around occasionally. I like tetras, and I like not barbs. I had barbs, and they destroyed my tank. Guppies and tetras. I mean, they're basic fish. They're simple fish. Hopefully after Christmas I'll be able to restock it and get some more color in there. But yeah, right now it's just got a single 12-inch catfish in there right now. So.
It needs a sunken U-boat. That's what it's missing.
I do have a display that's half of like a battleship, but it's just too big. And I don't know. Maybe I'll throw it in there eventually.
It's like people always say, "Oh, you want a sunken U-boat? What about a sunken Alpha class?"
Because it's tough to find those in the States.
You could absolutely find a model of an Alpha class.
Well, the actual U-boat can match the game, underwater.
Right. Well, then it's just you build it on like a 3D rotating thing, so that like when you're having your World War II game, you have the U-boat, and then you have the Alpha class of your World War III game.
There you go. Okay, next.
You're
barrel
getting
for your
too
Revolutionary
complex.
War
You're
game.
getting too complex for me. That's I put the fish in, feed the fish, clean the tank once a week. That's about.
Right.
Next question is for Jeff. Okay, they're talking about your European campaign game for World at War 85.
All right.
Talk about that a little bit.
So
Oh, there's no name for this yet, guys. Or is there? Do we have a name for this?
No, we don't.
No.
We don't even have a working title for it yet.
No.
Do we have the cover, David? Do you have the cover?
yeah, we have a
Artwork?
cover somewhere.
We do?
I think there was a title on it too, but
It starts with the cover.
Well,
Literally.
Yeah, I do. It's actually War in Europe 85. How could I forget that?
Working
I
title.
will put that up as you're chit-chatting there.
sure.
buddy.
So so I'm in the drudgery phase of order of battle and everything like that. So, but in any case, it'll be division level. Activation by formation. In this case, units or divisions. For activations, the Pact will be activating by armies. NATO by corps. Boy, I just blanked out there. So, but in any case, it'll activate kind of like some of those area impulse games where you got alternate activations and it'll be a variable ending to the turn. So you got to prioritize things, and the timing of activation is going to be important in that regard. So, a lot of the supporting combat support will be in terms of assets that you deploy in combat and such. And there'll also be some logistics behind it. So moving Pact Warsaw Pact Army is going to take a logistics point, and that also gives the opportunity for NATO to be doing some deep strikes there and attacking those logistics points, so they can't really be as effective. So it's still in the early stages. We got a lot of ideas, but we got to do the footwork first with the order of battle, and then once we get that done, and then we're actually pushing counters on the thing, then the rules will come into focus, aside from the broad ideas that we got right now.
Right. Is it going to be these? It's just kind of like 2 questions or 3 questions that you kind of merge into a sentence here.
Sure.
They want to know: is it going to be just an upgraded World War 85, or do you have anything unique as far as giving it a different feel or level of play than the current operational game?
Well, it's not going to be the World at War mechanisms where rolling for hits or anything like that. I'll de-link it from World at War 85 in that sense. This is really kind of showing the World at War 85 at the operational strategic level. So it's going to, if you in the module rules, the companion book, you have the background, you see the operational maps. Well, this is what you get to play out. This is what you're playing on the map and everything like that. So,
Yeah,
so
blow that up to 22 by 34.
Yeah, and I know the next question is, can we play the battles out at World at War 85? Yes, but you'll need about 16 maps and about 10 more counter sheets.
Yeah, I'll give you an idea. I'll give you an idea of the scale involved. So the Fulda Gap, think of it as a triangle from. Let's get my hand in the frame here. From here. And then it widens out here. Here's Fulda over here. So it's a triangle in there. This is a terrible triangle. But the actual Fulda Gap map, those 8 maps, is a dot over here. And it's a tiny dot compared to the whole Fulda Gap. So when he says we're going to have divisional level, yeah, it's going to be more along, it may not be the scale of NATO or something like that, but that's, you're talking brigades and divisions as individual counters as opposed to platoons. So for the record, I know a lot of people talk about different scales and everything. For me, Panzer Leader, Arab-Israeli Wars, World at War 85, they're all platoon level tactical is the phrase that always sticks in my head. So it means we're doing platoon tactics, which is what we're doing, how to maneuver your companies and things like that. For operational strategic, brigades and divisions, you're going to move your army or your corps.
Yeah. We haven't come up with any scenarios in World at War 85 that even come close to really a full division. At most it's a couple of regiments with some other supporting battalions on the Soviet side, and at most I think the largest scenario on the NATO side is only a couple battalions. When you consider that an American battalion usually had American division usually had 10 battalions, then you're really starting to see the difference in scale. So,
right.
Yeah. Hey, maybe one of these days at WBC you want to join me and we have 24 maps and enough counters, and we can play out the Battle of Fulda Gap. Or
You don't need the field.
Well,
you can talk down
even 24 maps would be 3 dots.
Yeah.
The battle of the 3 dots.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Time frame. This is still early stages, guys. I think I do. Here we go.
There it is.
There it is. So there's definitely stuff. I know Mark's working on the map now, right? If I'm not mistaken. Mark's working on the map. And so it's coming, but don't ask me next week where it is yet. Okay. All right. Then the next thing I have is, I believe, I don't know who this is for you, Jeff. Those take away 4 of the dots.
And once you fire nukes, it's for all of us.
That's right. All the dots are gone then.
All the dots are gone.
Well, I'll probably have some form of nukes as an optional rule in the World at War 85. The universe, the war has not gone nuclear. So but we'll probably have, depending on time and other considerations, I'd like to have at least some kind of a usable nuclear rules. So, and we will have chemical weapons as a follow-up. So since we do have that, so.
All right. This I think is more for Keith there.
Yeah, I'll take that. Also, I'll loop in Nicholas for this one. So, can you make games set in the Vietnam War, the Arab-Israeli Wars? Not really, because anytime you're doing a game like this, although it looks like it's a system that can be manipulated to other time frames, it's customized to the time frame. So your best unit in 1985 is different than your best unit in the Vietnam War or your best unit in the Arab-Israeli Wars. So like the T-62 for the Arabs in the Arab-Israeli Wars is a top-of-the-line tank. And you have to adjust for, they didn't have the Soviet version of the tank, so that takes it down. But in World War 85, it's not a top-of-the-line tank, but it can still compete. As far as Vietnam goes, that would be a fascinating thing for me. But now you've got the whole, you've got platoon level. How many platoon level actions were there for the NBA or the Viet Cong? And how do you simulate the Viet Cong being more informal, having platoons? And if you did it that way, how do you do the hidden movement? So one of my favorite games from way back when, the SPI days, is Search and Destroy. And it had, a basic hidden movement system for the Vietnamese and the North Vietnamese. And that was really important to how it played. But the victory conditions worked in too, where you had more American firepower, but when you used it, you lost victory points. You kind of have to incorporate something into that where the units, did you want to go more finely into how to define infantry units? Because infantry units can seem similar in World War 85, but they're not. And the differences are really important. You can still work that into the Vietnam War, but you probably had more flexibility in terms of support weapons, for example, or building those support weapons in. Whole different design thing, but it's a question of the scale of the weapons. You get to Arab-Israeli Wars, and again, it's anywhere from 56 to 73, or even if you want to do 82. Well, 82 would be closer to World War 85, but you get to 73, the best unit is different, and you have to scale a die 6 system to what's the best unit, basically. But Nicholas, I think, may have some comments on an Arab-Israeli.
Yeah, no, I'm actually working on it.
There you go.
Because as it happens, the French reviewer who did the review of World at War 85 for Vaevictus, the French magazine, is absolutely crazy with Arab-Israeli wars, but he doesn't like the game system that much. And so he's actually making counters for it. And so basically what I'm doing is trying to rescale the units, doing exactly what Keith said. So I'm actually digging up data on the T-55, T-62, what ammo they had at the time. And I think we are going to try first to do something that's basically for him and I to have some fun with. And we'll see if it works. And we'll try to do actually what was in Arab-Israeli Wars, so 56, 67, and 73. So that's going to be a new scale. So the M60 and the T62 are going to be at the top of the scale. And at the bottom, you'll find not the T-55, which was an okay tank at the time, but the T-34/85.
Yes,
So
still in use, and that's the thing. It's like, you could scale a T-34/85 into World War 85, it would have practically nothing. But in the end, it's just it's once you get that scale rolling, there's nothing you can't do. But you do have to have the discipline of, if you got to have those borders. So the one thing I want to point out is the T-62 in whatever game they're making, is not going to be the same as the T-62 in Storming the Gap.
No, and it's actually a very interesting exercise, because we're discussing what values you'd be giving the Israelis and the various Arab nations. And so I'm not making any commitments yet, because, he and I are just working on it.
No, Nicholas, you talked about it. You committed, man.
We're going to be getting questions about this for the next 2 years now.
Well, I'll be happy to field them to shield him until he actually gets something that he can respond with. But there you go, because I'll make it up on the fly.
But that's going to be a good test to see how that works. But I really see no reason why not. Two opponents with NATO and Soviet-style equipment, and NATO and Soviet-style doctrine. So there we go.
And the other thing is, people do mention, what about a modern one? It's like, think about 85. This is nowhere near modern. That was a long time ago. But so if if it ever got updated to whatever is modern, that would be a different scale. And so that would be a whole different thing where, now your M1A2, block whatever it is at this point, because it's been upgraded more than once. That would probably be your top of the line. But then you've got, the T-90s and the other odds and ends, the Chinese tanks and things like that. It's a whole different ballgame. So you're going to get a whole different flavor of the time, but you're going to have different values. You're going to play differently, and you won't be able to match up anything, probably including the M1A2, against World War 85, because the technology is so different nowadays.
And then the big difficulty as well is getting data. I mean, even in 85, there are some things for which the data is still classified. So you have
they could tell me, but then they'd have to kill me.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. We got another. Here we go. This is for Steve.
No nukes in the naval game. That was the reason I agreed to do it, because Keith and them told me that in the World War 85 universe, it did not go nuclear. So there are nuclear ships, but no nuclear weapons.
You're allowed to have one. The game's automatically over then.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of was it World War III? The old SPI World War III, and the designer notes or something. It said, if you'd like to simulate strategic nuclear war, pour gasoline on the map and light a corner.
I think that was in NATO as well. So Bruce had that.
Oh, maybe it was NATO. Maybe it was Bruce was actually in NATO. Yeah, I don't remember. It was a long time ago I read it. So
another question for Steve.
We're talking P3, the aircraft, I would assume.
Ryan, yeah.
Yeah, so P3s, some versions are only patrol and anti-submarine, and there are a few variants that can carry harpoons for anti-ship as well. So a prevalent aircraft that was out there searching for Soviet submarines, and they're represented from Norway, the U.S., and I think the Netherlands is the other country that's in there.
All right, guys, we're going to take a 1 second break, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to On the Air with Lock and Load Publishing, and we'll be right back.
Transmitting from the front lines of the wargaming world. You are watching Friendly Fire. Friendly Fire. The show where you can watch, learn, and even play our games live online. We will be showing some of our favorite tactics and answer your game questions. This is Friendly Fire.
All right. I know we got Olaf from Norway doing that voice, but okay. I have, let's see. Okay, well, let's bring up, I'm going to guess, we're going to bring up Mike. You ready now? Now that I've actually caught up with you? Okay. This is from a Word document Mike was nice enough to send me. I've not posted it yet, but I want to get Mike to get a chance. Uwe's not on the show today. Uwe's been doing all of our tabletop simulators, and we didn't leave him out or anything else. I didn't know if we were allowed to have more than 7 of us online, but apparently we can do 10. So we'll get Uwe in the next show with us, as long as he wants to come and be seen with us in public.
There's a chance, maybe not, but
That's a 50-50 shot, right?
50-50 shot. We'll put it at that.
Okay. And the pressure's on now because now everyone else is here. So anyway, but he's doing all the tabletop simulator. He's done a great job with that too, as well.
Yeah.
If you look at any of the some of the couple episodes, we do have a friendly fire. It's all in tabletop simulator. I think Devin's going to have to be broadened out a little bit more with showing Vassal with Mike, so he can let people see what we're doing. Now, people, just to bring this up, we have made companion books, and people have asked, what are companion books compared to the scenario module rules? Do I need the game? The companion books are basically much it. I don't know if I have it in here. No, I don't. Okay. Companion book is basically the scenario rules and module rules with any needed tables in the game. The object of this is it's a spiral-bound book. Okay. It lays flat on the table. It gives you what we call a digital license. You can use it with your board games, okay? But you do get the scenario rules and modules. You already have the player rate cards, obviously the map and counters. So this allows you to play online, whether it be Mike's Vassal modules or it be Uwe's tabletop simulator modules. A lot of people, and this actually came just as the pandemic was starting, believe it or not, don't want to buy the whole board game, don't want to buy, don't have a space for it, can't set it up, just so they can get a scenario. So this was something we came up with to have you guys purchase it. It's cheaper than the game, obviously, but it lets you play the game through Vassal or through Tabletop Simulator. You can use it with the computer games. If obviously it's out there and available, like on the tactical, you can use it with the computer games. The module books that we have online do not have the tables in it and do not have the scenarios. It's just the module rules. And you do need ownership of either the digital game or the tabletop game to actually play, okay? Or I believe, and Mike can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I do believe all of our modules have at least 1 or 2 scenarios in them, so you can at least play something just to see how it plays for you. Is that correct, Mike?
Well, I've got the updates. As far as the scenarios, that's something I've got to come back and add, make sure we get the right ones in the latest update. I think that we've got the intro system is on the old 1.3 version still, so it's out there.
Okay.
It's the tabletop simulator modules that have at least the scenario cards for 1 scenario for each module included.
Right.
Okay. Well, the good news then, guys, if you're on Vassal, it will be coming once Devin, Mike, and myself, and Keith, and whoever else needs to be involved decide what scenarios they are. All right, Mike, I got some screenshots here. I'm going to see if I can show these properly. Ooh, look at that.
Hey, there you go. So
I have all the pages of the Word document. I screenshotted them and stuck them online now. And if you want to go through, just tell me when to click, and I'll change the picture for you as best I can.
All right. Yeah, kind of the impetus behind doing this was when we have a stack of units, you could actually have quite a few tokens in Vassal stacked on top of each other. So was thinking of my brother Dave. So Dave is as much to fault at this as I am. In fact, if there's any faults, I'm going to lay it all on at his feet. I don't think he's on today, so I can do that to him. But what we were looking at is being able to still see the counter and its status without having a bunch of tiles stacked on top of it. So went back through Vassal, and what this is showing here with this Bradley is all the different tags that can be turned on to it. And those are just layers. So you always see the token and its attack numbers and everything, but its status is changed with the hotkeys or with the right click. We do the same thing for the headquarters units. If they get hit with electronic warfare, the tag will just show up on those, so it reminds you that that's out of order for a little bit. One thing that I did put in there, having the labels on the bottom. I don't know that, we wouldn't use that. We haven't used that a whole lot, but hopefully that'll be useful if you want to customize what you're calling each of your teams on there. So we want to click forward.
Hold on. Of course, just as you said, I hit the wrong button. How's that?
Yeah, so we did the same thing for missile ammo. It's the same tag that you just cycle through. It's either off and then you're fully loaded, or it's showing the load, low ammo, or if you do eventually run out, then that tag comes on. And that it doesn't change any of the stats. It just is this tag just rolls through to show what your status is. The same on the helicopters. They have the special nap of the earth or landed modes that they can show on there.
Oh, at last a counter for me, a nap counter. Please place a counter on me when I am playing. I am napping now.
Yep. One thing that I did hopefully get preserved in that is if you're flipped to your hover side and your missiles run out, that out a missile or that low ammo tag should stay on the flying side. Vassals are kind of squirrely as it comes to flipping between sides of counters. So with any of this stuff, if you flip a counter or change a status and it doesn't hold on the reduced side or the flying side, let me know so we can get that corrected in a future update. You want to click forward. So we have these asset units, the gray bar asset units. And for the smaller scenarios, at least to my simple mind, it wasn't a huge deal to remember which gray bar unit went with which formation. But in some of the larger scenarios where you have multiple of these running around, we've added a little color tag at the top. You can see on that 901 where it's got a little yellow bar at the top. That would assign it to that yellow formation card. This is a two-step process, though. The color tag doesn't officially assign it to that headquarters unit until you go through, right-click, and click on HQ assignment. And what that does, when you go to a headquarters to remove all of its admin markers, the out of command and the ops complete markers, it will catch all of those other yellow tagged gray units as well, as long as you've gone through and assigned the headquarters to that unit. I was talking with Keith a little bit, and it's not a slow game when you're taking the markers off, but it's more of a convenience that you know that 901 belongs to the yellow formation, and when you go to remove the counters, Vassal will catch that one as well on there.
Yeah, I thought that was brilliant, and that's something that now we're leveraging Vassal for what it's really good for, which is being able to customize for stuff that it's hard to do in paper.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I've been trying to look to not change the feel of moving counters around and putting things on and off, but to kind of make it so that when you move a single counter, it also moves its out of ammo and it's out of command at the same time, and not to worry about when it's in a stack which infantry unit is actually loaded into that transport, or was that armor, was it disrupted, or was it the counter below it disrupted? And sometimes that's a little fidgety in Vassal to get right. We can click forward. Wrecks. When a vehicle wrecks out, it will, and this if you select the Control W or the right click, it will throw the counter into the holding box under casualties, and then it will drop a wreck marker onto the map. And that wreck marker is offset down below so that when you're calculating your defensive bonuses, you can see that a little more clear. One thing that some of these markers do have on there, wrecks or terrain markers, stuff that stays on the board, it's not normally selectable. So you'll need to hold the shift key down when you try to select that marker if you need to move it or adjust it at all. And that just keeps it. If you were to move this tank, by doing that, it keeps the rec marker from accidentally moving along with the tank to a new hex. One option that's included in each unit, if you right click, there's an option to conduct your morale or training check. There's also buttons on the top that you can just press those, and it will do an automatic check for it. Looking here at this last one on this page, between the blue star and the red star, some things, particularly the battlefield events and the friction events, will say one side. And I know it's not a big deal to just roll 1d6 and see the result, but it sure is satisfying to see that red star come up when you push this button as far as which side got the bonus. So I have to keep reassuring Dave that these are all equally spaced. There are 3 reds and 3 blues, although he's certain that it's all reds, and maybe it is in some of our games or not, but don't tell him that. So we'll click forward. All right, HQs, the layer tags. With that, there's a remove admin marker that is part of the HQ counter, and that will remove all of that color's markers. So right clicking here on the blue formation will pick up all of the admin counters for that formation only. There's still the button on the toolbar that removes all of them for all units when we start a new turn, but this one is just for when the formation card comes up. And like it says, as long as you've got your gray assets assigned the right HQ, it'll pick up on those as well. Objectives, I think that this was in 1.3, but I don't remember if we had it in there. At any rate, you can put a name on the objectives.
Yeah, I don't think that was in it. I don't think it was in 1.3.
Yeah,
but I can check it.
And I think this is also one that I put as a sticky onto the map side. So if you need to select this afterward, you'll need to hit the shift key in order to get that set up. In my copy of World of War 85, there wasn't an end game token to show when the last turn was in the scenario. So I took a little bit of liberty and created one in here. So this is just a marker to show it on your turn track when the game ends. That's kind of laziness on my part to not refer back to the rule book or to just keep it in my mind. I tend to, as I'm playing, to forget that I actually have objectives and the game is going to come to an abrupt halt when I don't expect it. So this helps me to remember that part of it.
I can say we do that, and nobody should expect an end turn marker in the game because there isn't one. But we tend to use like a spare ops complete marker. But I like this for the virtual game.
I think that is there one more page. I think that was the end of the.
I got more pages. Hold on.
We got more pages. I did. Oh, look at all the
one more page. I think this is it.
Okay, so this is one thing where each unit has its own attack and attack ranges and values. So I think I got this right. If you hit those hotkeys, Control Shift A or Control Shift H, it'll show the HE or the AP attack ranges. You can see the close range, the normal, and then the long ranges are 3 different overlays there. Like I say, there's a lot of different values. So if something comes up wrong, you probably want to still count it just to double check. But those should all be on any unit that has an HP or HE set up. Small gray, cool. Hopefully you're playing some good Russian units there with us. So
I do want to shout out to Mike himself, since he's on. That's a huge amount of work to put those ranges in for every single piece of the game, at least the ones that use them. So I want to thank you for doing that. I should let you guys know, though, that if there is a problem, let Mike know, but always use a value on the counter to do your calculations if you find something graphically that is
Yeah, unless it's my brother playing NATO units, in which case the ranges are actually all 3 hexes.
Wow, that must have hurt.
He still beats me, so I got to come up with some other way to cheat, I guess. Yeah, the ranges one is and I didn't put it on there, but there's an HQ and a spotting range as well that you can turn on real quick to see what you had on there.
That's some major improvements there, Mike. Great job.
Yeah, a couple things. This has been in the works for a long time, and I think someone asked what I was doing with it, because I'll post stuff on Facebook now and then, and these are the images that come up for it. I thought, well, maybe someone else will find it useful. If you don't, the 1.31 stuff is still on there. If there's an issue with those, I can try and take a look at it, but this is the development stuff that I've been working on.
My only issue with 1.3 is that it lets Nicolas win. So you need to put in, a Nicolas not win button for me, just for me.
I think it needs to be a rule. I don't think the button is going to help you, buddy.
No, rules can be changed. Programming cannot.
Oh, and the Mike, I'll email you because I think I've found a small bug actually, because I was playing with it, but I'll email you. Oh, by the way, Dave, don't we have something to announce to everybody?
Oh yes, we're going to. I just wanted to get everyone in an organized mess. I do have some on the bottom right now, guys, is where you can find our Vassal modules on Vassal. For those who don't know what Vassal is, it's basically a free piece of software, runs on Windows, Mac, Linux. I believe that's everything. You can download it, and you can go online and basically download these modules and play with friends online. There are some limitations to it. I don't think you can you save the games now, Mike, or no?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can save
you can't
games.
play live, or you can't do email. There's something you can't do on Vassal.
Vassal doesn't have AI. It's everything else it's got. You can play email, you can play online, you can play by turns, whatever.
And for the most part, it doesn't enforce rules. So if
none of them do.
If you just want to roll 66 all the time, it will let you do that. But it's a great book.
It's a tool to it's basically a tool to play as it's a virtual box. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't have an AI. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
Okay, now just to I'm going to answer 3 questions. I thought I answered them already, but we'll do it one more time just to make sure. If you go to our I have to find where that is. 1 second, gentlemen. Here we go. Okay. Relatively new, but not that new. We have an online library. Okay. Not every single game is on there because I have to eat and sleep occasionally.
No.
That's I know. But what it does.
That is unacceptable, comrade.
Thank you. Yes, my wife will complain that I haven't done enough of that. Let me get to where the library is. Hold on. Oh, if you're looking for opponents, as I'm looking for that, there's our Discord. Okay, Devin's in charge of the Discord. Okay, which makes sense based on the name.
Also grammatically.
There you go. Okay. I could have swore I put that on there, but maybe I didn't. All right, gentlemen, hold on. I'm going to put this in real fast.
While you're looking that up, Dave, there was actually one more thing of note on the Vassal changes I made.
Okay.
For bridges, and maybe it wasn't in that document, but on the last page.
I could have missed it.
For bridges, we have in the physical game, we have a little marker, it says bridge out, or with a little arrow pointed to it. There now it's an overlay that when you bring that destroyed bridge marker on, instead of being a token, it will actually have a little bridge image on it that you can rotate to match around the edge of the hex. So it will overlay the bridge on the map and show a bridge blown up. So cool. it doesn't show up quite the same as the physical copy because it's not the the counter. It's actually modifying the map a little bit. So
Okay, now I'm going to, let me see. Okay, now that I've unlost it. Okay, there's our online library, guys. What this basically is, it's all the rules and usually maybe a scenario or no scenarios, but it has the stuff you need to at least, you can download the rulebook, read the whole rulebook. You can print the rulebook from there. You can put it on your iPad. You can read it online. If you're playing a game and you're having a notebook or an iPad, you can actually search for keywords. It'll highlight what pages are on. Keith and I'm going to pick on Devin. Devin is the one who really helped me get this rolling there. So I'm going
Yeah, don't pick on me.
Listen, I got to spread the love. That's what it is. Here's a screenshot of it. This is the World at War bookcase, it's called. Okay. And I know it's too hard to read what is on the bookcase, but these are the books that were in there now. Nicolas wrote a great book. It's in French and English, 10 Minutes to World at War 85. The solo rules are on there. The module rules are on there. We're always adding stuff to that as well. Let me see. I can really frig things up now, guys.
Why don't you click on like Storm and Steel and show what the pages look like inside, what it looks like?
Oh yeah, I can do that, right? Hold on. Share. Okay. I have two 49-inch monitors on my desk, so I'm not 100% sure how well this is going to work. Let's see.
You have the graphic up. There you
go. Okay, so look at that. Okay, so of course it's not the screen I want.
You want the other screen.
There we go. Can you see that well?
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So basically, you get up to the page. It shows you what latest books we've put up there. Again, it's scrolling on the screen now. And you can do quite a bit with this. You can zoom in. I'm going to get to a World at War thing so you guys don't... Okay, what did you want me to look at there?
Storm and Steel. Storm and Steel. The third from the right. There you go.
Okay, so you click on that. Hope it works. No.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Okay.
Click and pray.
It's got someone yelling, "I need ammo," but that's just us being wise asses. But you can flip the pages, okay? And it's the actual rulebook that's in the game. I think we lost somebody who just came back. Hold on. Okay, there he is. And you can scroll around here, but see on the top, if you can see this well, I know it's small. Keith, give me something to search for that might be exciting.
Search for targeting. Targeting.
So I type in targeting, I hit enter, and on the left side, it shows you what page it's on. It's highlighted. I can click on the page.
And it's highlighted on the page.
It's already highlighted on the page over here too. Okay. The other things you can do is you can turn it in, look at it that way, trying to get more of the book. You can table of contents, which is all linkable. Helps I get rid of the search first. So that there's not much here, but if you look at the core rules, you'll see it. You can just basically click on that as well. Okay. You can bookmark it. Okay. You can actually bookmark things for yourself. So if there's something you keep forgetting, designer's name, you can put down that, bookmark it. You can always go back and say who you want to complain for losing. Autoflip. It just basically will start automatically flipping for you. Sound effects you want to on or off. You can share this with somebody. So if your buddy, you think this might be great, you want to share it to your friend, you can share it. You can print out the rules. It works. I've done it. I don't think it's necessary, but we left it there for those who do. You can download it, get a PDF of it. It's free, like I said. And then, of course, you can do a full screen mode like this. I don't know what that just did to the rest of my stuff, but okay, there it is. All right, and if there's actually, you know what, Keith, this was a bad book to use. Actually,
sorry, I'm sorry. You can blame me.
I can click on home again.
Yeah, go to the main rules. Go to the core.
When I go to home, it will bring me to the World at War Series library. And if I click lock and nail now, it'll bring me to the main building of the library, I guess, for lack of a better word. So here's the core rules, okay? As you can see, the table of contents are all highlighted. Okay, you can click on them. I'm just going to do a few pages forward. Okay, but what the other benefit you have in this is you can also go to a video gallery for those who are not familiar. So the video gallery shows the bootcamp videos that are also the same videos that are on YouTube under the bootcamp. So if you can't remember a rule, you can literally click on this, okay, and it will let you watch the video here. Okay, and Nate Rogers.
In this video, we're going to continue our discussion of how you handle drawing specific cards with.
So I'm just going to mute that for now, guys. So we try to put everything right online at your fingertips, making it easy to use, going over rules when you're playing. Because the object, our basic object here, guys, we want you, if you're playing for an hour, we want 10 minutes of real questions or less, where you have to go back and double check something. The rest is all playing the game. Okay. But anyway, there's a little bit of the library and what you can use. We have some questions I missed. Oh, Mike doesn't like the sounds. Okay, Mike, you're off the list. Devin and I painstakingly picked those sounds, buddy.
Painstakingly.
Okay, so I'm going to see how I get rid of this now. Hold on. Stop screen share. Okay, so we're back. So I guess that handles that. What's the next section we have? Is I guess we'll go to the main event, I suppose, which we got some more questions. Okay, this is going to be for Jeff. We're going to start talking about Blood and Fury. I'll just start off by saying Blood and Fury will be the next game in the World at War series. Okay. I don't have a drum roll. There you go. We expect it will be going live sometime in February, the Kickstarter. Okay. Heroes of the Bitter Harvest will come out in January. We decided not to do it during the Christmas break. It's ready to go. Okay. It's Christmas and people's focus on what we're doing, really. Part of the reason we do the video now, we get less people who give us things to complain about, right? All right, so you heard it here. I've noticed nobody in the background is objecting to this, guys, so I just want to note that. Okay, so please note that. You can say the whole team backed me when I said those dates, okay? So that's when the Kickstarter is. It will be lighter and smaller than the other Kickstarter. Someone is asking, hold on.
Wait, what date did you say?
I said February. I didn't say an actual date, but it will be really early February because I want it done before the end of the month. Okay. There is the cover for it.
Great cover.
And let's see. Okay.
Thank you. We work hard on it. The artist is amazing.
Asking me about. Are we going to be okay? When the games are out of stock, I'm going to warn people now. 85 to 90% of the games that we have, they're very low quantities. I mean, some of them might be as low as single digits now. Once they're gone, I do not expect us to reprint them. Okay, it does not mean that I won't be. If enough people ask about, let's just say, Storming the Gap again, and they want us to reprint it, and we get enough, we may not do a Kickstarter, okay? But I'm not going to be keeping the size warehouse we have now. It's very expensive. Gasoline here is making things really costly, amongst other things. So I'm not going to let you know. So someone asked about the sale. It was on the bottom of the screen. There's the Christmas sale goes on now. Okay. So if the thing is already 30% off and you use the coupon, you will get 70% off. It's while supplies last. We are not saving it. I do know that there's a problem with Australia and New Zealand. Their postal services are not shipping stuff to us, nor they're receiving stuff from us. So the program in our store pulls out the most recent prices when you pick your order. So if you're in New Zealand or Australia and you want to place an order, it's going to tell you there's no prices, then contact us. We tried to put something in place to let you kind of pick your product so it wouldn't be out of stocking you. It didn't work. So Darren, who is our warehouse manager, shipping guru, and all the things behind the scenes there that it always hides behind the Christmas tree. If you open up a support ticket, let him know you're from New Zealand, okay, or Australia. Let him know exactly what games you want and the exact shipping address you want it to. He will send you an invoice privately, okay? And he will literally pay for it. We're going to take all that stuff off the shelf, put it in a box with your name on it, okay? And we're just going to leave it there. Once the shipping opens itself up, we'll just make sure the shipping rate is right, or we'll send you an invoice asking you to pay for the shipping. You'll pay for it by most easiest way is PayPal in that case. I think it's the only way because we can send you an invoice that way, and then we'll ship the product to you, of course. Okay, so that's just so that's our only solution we have for Australian New Zealand people who are having problems with that. All right, and someone also asked one other question about a book. And okay, the last book is done, or the latest book is done. It is not necessarily tied into the book game. We do not write the stories necessarily based exactly what's going on in the game on purpose. Okay, so Brad Smith, who's been extremely busy. We haven't had any more novels by him recently, but this was the last novel he wrote to us. It is based inside this Blood and Fury game. Okay, it's more of an air game battle, but it's with land forces. Excellent novel. I really do enjoy it. And I'm going to have to try to bribe Brad to write some more for us in the coming year if I can. But it's going to be an audiobook, paperback, and PDF. Okay, so there you go. It should be on Audible. It's ready to go. It's been ready to go actually for quite some time. We're really waiting for the board gamers to catch up. Okay, now, Keith, I don't know if this is accurate, so you're going to have to prepare me if it's wrong. I found these maps. Are these right?
No, they got moved.
Okay. Well, this is why we're waiting to February. See? Now, this just gives you an idea. We have two of them.
That's pretty much right.
Okay.
Not totally.
You want to talk a little bit about this, Nicholas, Jeff, Keith, anybody who might know besides me who doesn't know?
Yeah, this is our campaign map for Blood and Fury for the North German Plains. So this is basically what's kind of going on literally on a strategic level, and where we have scheduled the scenarios to take place, roughly. We have fewer scenarios now. This was our preliminary version. So I think we've got a grand total. We've got 15, including 3 that are sort of a mini. You can run them as a mini campaign, but they're not really that. It's basically the western half of a scenario, the eastern half of a scenario, the western half of a sscenario, and a scenario that adds a couple of surprises. That is the whole battle in that particular case. But this map was a preliminary one, so yeah, we have fewer scenarios than this, but that's the strategic situation that we're dealing with in the World at War 85 universe.
Okay.
And it's right in the middle there. Nobody could see that, but there was actually a U.S. brigade in there that was detached.
How's that?
Yeah, it's tiny and green, and there's a little X, and it's in the middle of a circle of things. But yeah, so somebody asked a question of what the forces are involved in Blood and Fury. It is obviously it's a British, it's a British module as things go. It's a British game, but it'll be the British and of course the West Germans because it's their country. We still haven't gotten out of West Germany yet. There'll be a small contingent of U.S. forces, as you say. There was a deployed unit there, and lots of Soviets. Upwards of 2 regiments, I think, or almost 2 regiments of Soviets available for your anti-tank guided missile pleasure.
Now, one of the things I think Nicholas might know a little bit about this is they have created some extra scenarios. And the development team got games coming and games being done now. As I guess an early Christmas present, guys. You want to call it that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Early Christmas present. Have designed some scenarios that are for Storming the Cap. They will be a free download. Okay. I believe they're probably going to be released tomorrow or Tuesday. I think Blackwell's one little change to make, Keith, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. There's one map to change, and then we should be good.
And guys, code for one is like a few, just so you know. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to share a screen.
And while he's doing that, I just want to emphasize these scenarios are for the game and the expansion because there's 2 boxes. And my understanding is that most people who bought the game have bought the expansion. We've taken advantage of that for the whole kit to write some scenarios that are use units from the base game and the expansions.
Okay. I'm just going to answer 1 or 2 of these questions and I'll get scrolled off. Yes, Edge of Line, that is a Harrier on that one. Okay. We'll talk about the game forces in a minute. That's one. And what else we have? Devin's answering the question. Not to worry about that.
Yeah. Not Jay, you're the best.
I left over his comments, but I have to tell you. Okay. Someone asked about Christmas. We have sales throughout the year. I'm going to say probably the best sale has always been the Christmas sale. I'm going to stress again, guys, it's very low in inventory, okay? And so once they're gone, it's gone. And I don't know if we will or when we will, so it will not be something we replenish. The shipping situation with China is beyond ridiculous. And we are looking at other means to produce the games, honestly here, or at least somewhere closer where we don't have to worry about oceans. Because the delays are just ridiculous. For those who don't know, I'm part of a small group of publishers. I'm not saying who the publishers are, so don't ask. That have talked directly together about printing in other countries, printing over here, best shipping rates, combining our shipping. And, some of these guys have waited, I'm going to say close to 6 months after the game is printed to get it on a boat, not across the ocean, just on the boat. That's not counting the ship time. That's not counting the time to hit once you get it here, get it off the boat, and then, of course, get it to wherever it has to be in the country. Okay, so we're working on that. I'm probably going to have a thing with Devin where we discuss just that and take questions, but we may have some really good ideas going forward with that. That won't kill everybody's pocketbook, to put it bluntly. Jordan, yes, all the Kickstarter add-ons for Blood and Fury are set and ready. Agreed, guys? Okay, everyone nod. Come on, Dan. Damn it. Okay. I don't know what he's talking about here, guys.
There will be starter scenarios. Yeah, for sure. That's a pattern that we have where the smaller scenarios are going to be, you're going to be able to, we'll have the list of starter scenarios like we did in Storming the Gap.
Yeah, and actually Blood and Fury has I think one of the smallest scenarios ever.
Yeah.
That is
a pain in the butt.
Yeah. And it's incredible because it's incredibly tense, but I won't spoil it any more than that.
I will. I say, Kev Sharp, thank you for your help in testing that. He was one of our testers for that. Yeah, well, we and Nicholas and I played it, and I lost because I was impulsive. I actually was winning that one. You know, when you sit there and go, I'll just move these guys in for one last assault when you've already killed all the units you need to, it never ends well.
Okay, and there's another one for you. All right, so what I'm going to show you guys now, what I'm showing now is this is, I believe, Nicholas's creation. And it's called Sky Soldiers, and I can scroll through the PDF. You might find a typo or two because, like I said, I don't think this is the finalized version. I may be wrong.
Scenario 22 is final. That one
Yeah, no,
doesn't
this is the final
need.
one.
Yeah, so you can actually show off the new scenario layout.
Oh, okay, yes. Gentlemen, Keith, why don't you or Nicholas or both of you explain what the new layout is?
All right. So, well, I'm going to have to go page by page if you don't mind.
Ready whenever you are. Do you ever want
Right.
to start
So
nicely?
the opening of the scenario is not any different than you see in anywhere else. Basically, we restructured the scenarios to be easier to read, easier to get the information you want, so you don't have to keep going back and forth. Also, we have a new scenario graphic system where we're going to try and put as much information on the scenario map as far as entrance areas, exit areas, startup areas, especially when it's something that normally would be described as, you know, well, start on this road from this section to this section. And Jeff and I just did this, so we know what I'm talking about. Or, you know, there's a geometric area described. It's better just to say, go to West German setup area 1, look on the playable area map. So game length is the same. Playable area is always going to say see following page because we're trying to get this as large as possible. So sometimes you're going to see a 2-page spread for this. So if you can go to the next page, please.
This is basically half a page, just so you guys know, but I blew it up so you guys can see it a little bit better.
Yeah, and the reason it's half page is it's going to end up, you know, when you open the book, when you open the map, you're going to see it, you know, on the left page and a right page. So this is the left half of the page. You can see the north marker, and then if you scroll up more, please, you see the gray area. That's West German setup area. And then if you keep scroll down to the next page, the other half is going to be on, obviously next to it. There's Soviet entrance area 2, and then there's the rest of the West German setup area. And then you can scroll down, please. You'll see Soviet entrance area 1. There you go. And so it's visually on there rather than describe it as, you know, you're 7 hexes west of this river and this city. And it gets too complicated. It's actually much harder to proof. And one of the things we've been addressing is to make things easier to proof, because if it's easier for us to proof, it's easier for you guys to play, and also means it's just going to be fewer mistakes, and we don't want any mistakes. So there you go. So if you continue down, right after your playable area is where you're going to see your objectives. And as usual, we have the usual objectives. You know, you have the color of the marker that it starts as. Some might start as Soviets, some might start as NATO. What the thing is, it is a victory location. Is it an exit map? Then the actual description of it. And again, this might have hex calls in it, but you're going to, you know, on most scenarios, this is because this is a PDF one, we didn't necessarily want to put the objectives on, but for the ones in the books, you're definitely going to see the objective actually marked on the map. And then the last column is basically a descriptor that's for flavor, you know, what the actual town is, or Soviet exit road. There you go. If you can scroll down, please. Right below that's going to be the victory conditions. You're going to get your objectives, and then you're going to get your victory conditions right there, rather than having to go all the way to the end. So as you're reading the scenario, you'll see, can be able to compare your objectives and your map against your victory conditions right out of the gate. So if you scroll down, please, you see how fast this goes. Your scenario rules are going to be right after that. This one actually has a lot of scenario rules because, you know, Nicholas is very prolific when it comes to ideas. So we're trying out some ideas here. Like the to hell with safety rule, which allows the martyr ATGMs to fire a 1 hex closer if they can pass a morale training check, because as far as overriding doctrine. If you'll scroll down, please. So we go through these scenario rules. You're always going to have additional formation deck cards. So what happens is that rather than say put into adopt cards, whatever, we're going to visually depict to you what goes in the deck. Now, the battlefield event friction, again, that's always optional. In the book itself, you're not going to see that because in the instructions in the book, it says you put the battlefield event friction card in unless it's a starter scenario or you guys agree not to have it. Orders of battle, as we scroll down here. That's a big note that basically says that if you see something in a dotted box, and this is for the scenarios, this is actually just for these scenarios because they're using expansion pieces. If something's in a dotted box, you're going to see that, yes, this comes from another module. It doesn't come from the base game. And then the footnote for it is going to say, this is the expansion you're going to get it from. So these engineers, you're going to find that platoon in the Storm and Steel expansion for Storming the Gap, and you're going to add that into the order of battle for this scratch force. Also, the West Germans set up first. The side that sets up first is going to go first. And it's going to include their forces that enter on turn 1 as well as forces that set up on the map. So if you'll scroll down, you will see each formation. You'll see fortifications. You'll see offboard artillery strikes. If you scroll it a little bit higher so that the title's at the top, there you go. Little higher. No, other way. We want to see the offboard artillery. There we go. Okay. So it's going to be a table like this. And it's basically going to tell you the number of strikes, the marker to use. If there's a strength marker that you need for it, because some you don't, it's going to tell you where to put the strength marker. So it's a nice little summary that's visually key to your artillery tracks, so you know exactly how to set that up. That wasn't as clear in Storming the Gap, and we wanted to make sure that was clear. So if you'll scroll on down, please. The Soviets set up second, and here they are. And again, the dotted box is for stuff that's going to be found in a different module. Scroll on down. You see additional stuff. There's a bunch of stuff we pulled from Defensive Frankfurt, since this is they have a bunch of T-80s and T-64s in different colors. You do get mixed colors in this particular scenario. It's just we wanted to make sure we had BTR-60s and we had them in light blue. Scroll on down, please. There's that artillery table again. Keep scrolling. You see the designated formation card. It's just going to be a cleaner look for that, for things like designated formations and close air support. If you'll scroll on down, we're almost done. Okay, all reinforcements. So now the reinforcements are all going to be listed in chronological order. And it doesn't matter which side they are. So you're going to see all the West Germans, the West German turn 2, then you might see Soviet turn 2, then you're going to see West German turn 3, West German turn 5, Soviet turn 5, Soviet turn 6. They're going to be in chronological order, so you don't have to go back to the individual orders of battle to figure out who's going where. So that's turn 2, and then turn 3, you're going to see both sets of attack helicopters come on. And that's the end of the last thing of the scenario is going to be the orders of battle. So that we feel that this is going to give you an easier, better experience as far as gathering information and when you need the information as far as setup goes and reinforcements. We tested it out. It seemed to work really well. We're hoping you guys like it a lot. And that's kind of the story on the new format.
Okay. I mean, I got a couple of questions popping up here for you.
Okay. No, questions.
Better you than me, buddy.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, how many scenarios are we doing, Nicholas, Keith, Jeff, whoever?
Wait, for these kinds of these expansion scenarios?
Yes.
Yeah, there's Sky Soldiers, which Nicholas did, which is what we were looking at. Then there's going to be 2 scenarios that Jeff did that are monster scenarios because they use basically 4 maps from the Defensive Frankfurt set of 8. And so those are you get more use out of your Defensive Frankfurt maps. We're actually calling them Defensive Frankfurt Scenario 3 and Scenario 4. So they're based off of Defensive Frankfurt itself, and they're going to be, so that's 3 that we're going to end up having. So the 2 that are going to release for the present are Sky Soldiers and Defensive Frankfurt 3.
Defensive Frankfurt 2 and 3, right? You just said 2 and 3?
3 and 4.
3 and 4. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
What do you need to? What does someone need to own to play? It's the base game and the expansion, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And they're in the new format. Someone wants to know, okay, Sky Soldiers, do you need both games or just one game?
You do need
both.
The expansion.
Okay. Yeah, you do need the expansion.
All right. Nick, you want to tell us a little bit about the Sky Soldiers? I know Nick's had this done for a while, guys. We've been dragging our feet, so just so you know, no hate.
We're just finding a place to release it.
Yeah, we're finding the right place, the perfect place to make it worthwhile.
Right.
Yeah. No, this is one that I had wanted to do for a while because NATO had a few very interesting units. The West Germans had 3 with their airborne brigades. The Brits had 1, and the French had 1 of their own. And these were airborne anti-tank units, which were meant to be inserted on the axis of advance of the Soviet forces and blow the hell out of them with anti-tank missiles. So this is really a combined arms type of scenario. And another thing that's going to get released is a small one-pager that I did and that Blackwell laid out, which is a summary of the helicopter rules to go,
It's a helicopter
go with
player
it on
in
one
charge.
page. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's just putting together all of the information that you'll need. And it's a scenario that I think you'll find interesting. It's actually quite hard on both sides. It's very easy to mess up.
Oh yeah, I did that.
Either, and you can very easily mess it up as the Soviet as well, because basically you need to. The beginning of the battle is quite easy for you because the terrain is fairly wide open, and you have a bunch of tanks with 125 guns, and then you move into what is essentially one of the check maps. And very quickly, you have these airborne paratrooper units coming on that have missiles, leaders, and that are absolute killers in assault. And for anybody who's played the Czech scenarios, this is not something that you want to be facing.
Yeah, this,
really not.
It's one of the Storm and Steel maps is matched with one of the Storm and the Gap maps. And that's something, so you do the, like I said, the expansion has all the stuff you need in addition to Storm and the Gap. But those maps are extremely tight in terms of line of sight because they are covered in forest.
And so, welcome to hell.
Devin likes it. He just charges with his T-55 AM2s.
Hey, got to get in there and knife fighting range with
That's
those
right.
things anyway. So that's why
That's
I love those maps. Like, hey, I don't have
That's
to
right.
worry about getting shot on my way in.
Right, exactly.
Well,
But yeah, it's a very, I call it an advantage. What was that?
What brought on the changes? Someone's asking about the scenario layout, because I know people. One guy, we have two people who are writing here that, hey, why are we changing it?
I'm changing it because when I read it, you work on it, you give it a break of 6 or 8 months, and you come back to it. And we were working on errata that people were sending in. And I'm like, why? My thing went back to why are these errata here, and how do we improve our process? And when I looked at it, I went, well, Jeff and I put our heads together, and Jeff came up with some great ideas, and we looked at it and went, hey, this can be streamlined. It is a streamlined format right now, and it still works in terms of one side goes first, and you get all the forces in one place. The other side gets all of its starting forces as well. If anything's a reinforcement, it shows up in the reinforcement track. It just seemed to make sense. If that makes sense.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, like you said, it's streamlined. The visual setup is much easier to proof as well. So when you're putting things on that, maybe a little more work up front, but Keith's been doing a great job on that. But when you see it on the map, it's like, yep, that's where it is. Same thing with the reinforcements. When you're playing a scenario, especially a larger one, you don't want to be flipping back and forth. You can just go turn 2, turn 3, and keep pace with it.
Right. I hope that answered the question.
Well, I'm easily entertained, so I'm good. Okay, hold on. Let's see. All right, Mike's back on the approved list yet again. Okay, and I told you this was going to be the first question out the door.
Not my call.
Yeah, Chad, I'm not saying we're not going to do it. I will promise you it won't be done tomorrow. I think Blackwell had actually started that, didn't he?
I think we experimented to see how difficult it would be, and it turned out to be really difficult.
Yeah.
But I have some ideas again now that I've had a chance to think about it of how to make it easier on Blackwell, and give him a document to start from, and basically it'll look like he's starting from scratch, but he won't be. But I have to work that out. I just came up with it like actually 10 minutes ago in the middle of this meeting. It popped into my head.
Okay.
So I got to work on it.
All right. So it's something we're considering. It'll probably be a companion book. Well, I guess it would be a companion book, really.
Yeah. It would be the Storming the Gap companion book, except for that. Yeah, it would be Storming the Gap companion book, I imagine.
I found, Nicholas, your helicopter thing. I am trying to take a screenshot of it.
I was just going to ask whether we could see that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find where it is. Okay. All right, guys. Oh, someone's asking. Sorry, Jay. Not for Jay's gaming table. Sorry. There you go. Keith?
The French are going to be probably a couple of modules or so down the line. What happened was Blood and Fury got to be so big because we were combining material, and we realized we just, with production issues, that we
The truth is, Keith wants to give you guys 40 counter sheets in one game.
I want to have a 7-pound box again. But it's not
Okay.
going to happen.
And when you're breaking the USPS shipping weight module, you just got to cut back somewhere, guys.
Just put your thumb on the scale, and you can put more. So the way it's looking now is we had to break it up. So now we have We Shall Hold. I mean, obviously the British and the West Germans, the US, the Soviets are in this one. We Shall Hold, again, you've got multiple regiments of Soviets, but now you've got the Belgians, the Dutch, and the Canadians, and the West Germans. That gave us a game where we never had a game before. After that, we're sort of back and forth because Nicolas needs time to work on the French module, but he's working on the French module, and we're all working. Working on America Breached, which I'm kind of excited about personally. So that's kind of the way. So the French, are there, but we're probably going to go with America Breached before the French. But I don't know.
Hey,
we haven't
over my dead body.
You'll notice I haven't made a final decision, but I get to have the designer after my name. So there you go. It's the only thing I can do is say, oh, let's have it in this order. So, but yeah, like I said, we haven't said it finally yet. We still have to talk to David and see which one of us he smacks on the head and goes, no. But the French will be a couple or three down the line, but they're definitely
one of the reasons. Yep.
I'm sorry, Keith and Nicholas. Just so you know, I like dark chocolate, and surprises are acceptable. Oh, Starbucks cards are the best, though.
Starbucks card, yeah, he'd do a Starbucks card. I could see him do a Starbucks card.
I'm sorry, Nick. Go on.
Yeah, and the other thing is that the We Shall Hold needs to go first because it will have the other half of the really big scenarios.
Right.
Because the Belgians were actually sort of in the same area as the British, and so to get the combined action, that's that's what you need to put there. So
yeah, and as I said, we already have it planned out. We already started testing. We know what the counter mix is for We Shall Hold. Scenario development is always the slowest part, and of course, Blood and Fury, we wanted to make sure we had a process. Right now that we have the process, we get to do the creative part of making the scenarios for We Shall Hold. And as I said, it'll have the Dutch, the Belgians. Nicholas came up with, there's only 12 slots for scenarios. Nicholas came up with 12 just for the Dutch and Belgians. I'm like, we do have the Canadians. We need to get a scenario or two in for. I have one for that, actually a larger one. And we'll be developing the rest, but we want to balance it out. At the same time, we have the forces. We still have the British big scenario to do, and the other 4 maps for the mixed scenario is going to be in there. But again, that's for people who buy both games. Then they'll be able to, have that 8-map experience. And that'll be just units from Blood and Fury can do that scenario. So you don't have to have, you can just have the maps. I think that's, don't hold me to that.
No, the eight map. So you have
those 2 4 maps.
Yeah, you have the northern half of 4 maps. We have a scenario for that with Blood and Fury and the British, and just the contents of that box.
Right.
And we have the southern half of the map, which is 4 map sections, and that can be played with just the contents of the We Shall Hold.
We Shall Hold, right.
And then if you have both, you can put all 8 maps together.
Right. All 8 maps. You have both. You all 8 maps for the big scenario that we were playing the other week. So there's lots of fun to be had. After that, now again, it's America Breached, and you've got these 2 labors of love kind of going on. and we'll see how it works out in terms of timing. But all the work still needs to be done. We're still working on this, and I think I'll stop now.
Right, here's let me just share this real fast. Jeff, I believe this is your scenario.
Yep. This was actually completed a long time ago.
Yeah.
Actually, I mentioned to Keith earlier this week that the playtesting took place before we changed the rules for fields setting on fire. So.
Oh yeah, for fires, yeah. So we informally last night. He's like, "Well, why don't we put in like a scenario rule that says if you want it more realistic, like use the old fire rules."
Yeah.
Because there's lots of fields that can burn here. So
this uses the 4 southern maps from Defense of Frankfurt, because the 2 main scenarios, there's not a lot of that, or there, in my experience, there hasn't been a lot of action on the southern half. So this uses those 4 map sections a little bit more. And in this case, it's a scenario where the West Germans are counterattacking, and they catch the Soviets in road march, trying to move up, and they got to take advantage of those early advantages before the Soviets can get their act together. So.
Yeah. So things happen in the background. I'll give you a behind the scenes story. So we're in the process of, we always double check and triple check and lists of cards and things like that. And we do our best. And there's a lot of components. The cards, especially, we want to make sure that we don't screw up. And I was going through Blood and Fury's cards, and I realized that, we go through the scenarios based on what we want to play and with the force pools. And somehow there was a chunk of West German formations that we had cards for and no scenario.
Well, that was scenario 15 we did.
Oh, was that 15?
Yeah.
I thought that was this one.
This is still Defense of Frankfurt.
Oh, okay. Different story. Never mind. I'll finish that story. I did a scenario based on what I said to Jeff. I said, can you give me a scenario with, 6 West German formations? He's like, oh, yeah. So there will be a scenario with a bunch of West German because,
Yeah. So like in this one,
Jeff, just tell me when you want me to scroll.
Sorry?
Scroll, please.
Tell me when you want me to scroll.
I'll tell you to scroll now. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Your wife. You got to make like a click sound, so I know when to change the channel.
How about this? Next slide, please.
Next slide, please.
I want to tell you now, this is not the setup map. This is part of what's getting changed in the next couple of days. This is an idea.
But there are some things we got to fix on this. So as you can see, and you'll see on the next page, there's you see the 2 other Soviet. Yeah. Those Soviet are set up in road march, basically 3 battalions. You have objectives A and B, and to win the game, the West Germans have to clear both of those. Those are both hilltops, so they have to basically clear those 2 hilltops and have at least 1 unit on the hill themselves to win the game. So technically, they start with 1 objective, and you think, oh, it's going to be easy, just run up and take the other hill. But there's an awful lot of Soviets running around there. So
yeah.
While the West Germans, while the Soviets are in road march, the West Germans can set up anywhere at least 6 hexes away, and they get the initiative, as well as there's a special rule that simulates a Soviet surprise or lacks security, however you want to put it. So the West Germans have to push. They got a reinforced battalion, including the 2 companies of Leopard 2s. A couple helicopters come in, and they got some artillery as well. And the Soviets basically have a T-80 regiment. And like I said, the West Germans are going to have to get their licks in before the Soviets can gather up and get their act together.
I take it just to take 2 companies of Leo 2s, but there you go. Again, this particular map is nowhere near. This is actually a very early sketch map.
Yes.
There's nowhere near what you're going to see in the final scenario. However, this stuff is.
Yeah.
So again, you have your objectives, your victor conditions, which are pretty simple as Jeff described. Your quick scenario rules. You want to scroll down a little bit? Yeah, slide please. So then you see the additional cards. Again, you don't have to have the battlefield thing, a battlefield events card unless you want it. First, you take it out if it's a starter scenario, but otherwise you should put it in. So that's why we don't actually necessarily put it in here. Scroll on down. Again, order battle. Again, it says that if you're highlighted, then, in this case, we're going to put an asterisk in the formation, because sometimes entire formations are found in the different games. And that's one of the things that needs to get fixed. You need to see your units.
No. Those are in camouflage.
Oh, there you go. All the camouflage units. And then if you'll scroll down, you can see there's just 3 different formations there. I think it's more of the same. The Soviets set up first because they're in their setup areas. One thing you'll notice in the instructions, as I said, is if it's a setup area that's easier to describe than describing a series of hexes as landmarks, it's going to say, see the playable area map, setup area 3. And you go back to the playable area map and you'll see where you set up. It also gives you a visual way of seeing how the forces interrelate without having to go back to each individual order of battle if you've already set up your units or something like that. Yeah. So I'm going to scroll on down a little bit and we'll see the rest of this order of battle. West Germans set up second. They come in second. Now look at this. Scroll down this page. 1 Leo 2 company, 2 Leo 2 companies, a Martyr company. It's nice. And there are lots of artillery lots of artillery for the West Germans as well. And then reinforcements, yet an additional T-80 company. It's going to be battalion.
Yep.
Scroll on down, please. And Leopard 1s, designated formation. Oh, here's nice. Yeah, scroll down. Scroll down a little bit, please. Artillery regiment from Defense of Frankfurt, 2 S3s for the Soviets. That's always fun. And lastly, I believe, is the attack helicopters for the West Germans.
And just so you know, Keith, you can bring out this. Looks like it got cut when it was being. It's that partial.
Yeah. I have that marked up for Blackwell. So
okay, so that's one thing. They are asking before I show the card about the Storming the Gap companion book. This is just an example of it, and you'll see it's very similar to the one you have. Somebody, Keith, is asking. There you go.
Clear up the errata. We have that online, 2.1, and then David, tell me this. I mean, for Blood and Fury.
I see. He's talking about the rule book, though, right?
Yeah, the rule book, the core rules.
Yeah, if you can get it online library right now. You can download it yourself. If you want a printed copy, you can just buy the spiral bound rule book, and it should have the latest. It does have the latest version, as far as I'm aware. And so that hopefully will answer that question there for you. Okay, and so this is the companion book, and as you can see, this is the old style. Okay. And this is a PDF thing. It's not the rulebook's misprinted. It's just a PDF that I'm using. But there's the style there. And in the very back of the book, which is what I'm going to scroll down to really fast.
Yeah, the main difference between the companion and just the rule book is the companion has some of the player, because you're going to be playing electronically with it. It has player aids that you need to play that are not in the rules themselves.
Okay, so I think this is what I want, right? So these are scenarios. Hold on.
Yeah, so this is the last scenario. This is information in the rule book. You can keep scrolling.
And some of it's duplicated, and we did it just again to make life a little easier for you.
Yeah, this is information that's in the rule book. It's not duplicated. It's flavor material for if you don't happen to know what a particular vehicle does. It'll give you a description of what it is.
Oh, just Keith and links.
Right. Okay, there's the leaders, and that's always been in there. I'm going to keep scrolling, go through the credits. After the credits starts the additional companion material. So here we've got the terrain effects chart, and this will be spread across 2 pages. This is an 11x17 card in the existing game, but because, again, for the companion, you're buying the book, and you're not buying the hard copy game, you need to have this. So we basically put it into the companion book, which is why it's a companion book and not just a rule book. And then you can keep going down. This is just the 3 pages, the 3.
Well, let me clarify something Keith just said. It's not a rule book. It's the companion who is
right.
Is the, let's say, add-on edition of the module rules and scenario booklet.
Yes.
Okay, not the rule.
Yes.
No. Although some of the material.
Oh yeah, not the rule. I'm sorry. I apologize. Yeah, modules and scenario book. Right. Yes. Okay. Yeah, because the rule book you can get online.
Okay, so
this is the terrain effects chart, and it's basically got stuff that you get the thermal imager rules for the optional rules for those who prefer to play with those. Direct fire modifiers, things that are actually they're a little redundant, but it's more convenient to have it with the rest of the charts. Just about everything else is something that's not actually in the rules, but would be a player aid card, and then it's just easier to have it. You have to have it to play, basically. And any other charts you're looking for, they'll be in the rules themselves.
Okay, so now that's that, and then we have. When I pull up the next image, I'll just go through this. Small Gray, they will be a PDF download. I believe the goal, and Keith and Jeff and can tell me if I'm wrong, I believe the goal is we're going to add these to the companion books being released, right?
Yes, yeah, because they fit the if there's a companion book, the companion book for the expansion.
Let me clarify that. There's 2 expansion books for World at War 85 because it's so much material. The base game, Storming the Gap, will have its own companion book, and then the expansion will have a companion book which will take all of those scenarios, and any add-on or free scenarios you made would also be added to both companions. So you might say, well, that means my book's not going to be up to date if I bought the book before. That is correct. Okay. We do provide them as free PDFs. You can download them, stick them onto a cardstock, and you can have them in the box because these things obviously were designed, almost 2 years since the release. So that's part of the reasons you're seeing that, guys. And now we could just say, hey, they're just downloads and, go that route as well. But, we try to be as efficient as possible there. Okay. 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 So now back to, let's see if we can get this up here. Oh, I don't need that there because I have it. I think I have
the helicopters, eh?
Yeah, but I think I actually uploaded it to the page, which I did. There you go, guys. Let me just get rid of the stop screen sharing, and there you go. So, Nick, you want to explain what this is all about?
Oh, yeah. It's basically all of the rules that you need for helicopters in one page. So the top summarizes what you need to know, the mode changes, what that does in terms of trigger ops fire, the tiny things that distinguish helicopters from other units, like the fact that they can unload into an adjacent X, but contrary to regular transports, they can't unload into an assault. Summary of the AA rules with a clarification that actually we didn't have in there. And then at the bottom, the one thing that people usually find difficult, which is, what every mode does. So you have the mode, the movement, whether you can move and how many X's, the height for loss calculation. And there's actually a reminder that if you're more than 2 levels higher than the obstacle, the blind zone that is down to 1. Then Hilo as attacker, whether you can attack and what values you can use, and Hilo as target. So if you're flying or hovering, you use the AA fire rules. Flying nap of the earth, you use the AA rules, but you cannot be targeted by missiles, but you can be assaulted under certain circumstances and when you're landed. So basically, what I wanted to do with this was the counterpart to the rules in 10 minutes, because helicopters are probably the only part of the rules that is, quote unquote, a little bit difficult or unusual for people who are used to tactical war games. So there you have it, and it's been reviewed by Keith, so either it is correct or you can blame him. So either works for me.
Yeah, I take blame very well.
Okay, now we have something a little special you guys can talk about. Yes, it will be a Kickstarter when it's ready. I'll say, will there be an add-on if it is a Kickstarter? You mean like a add-on to the game? Probably will do something. I can't promise you yet because we're not close enough for Steve and Devin and I and Keith and everyone to get together and decide what we're doing. Right now, honestly, Steve's doing the most important thing. He's making sure the ratings he agrees with, results are what he wants. So you're just going to have to give us some time, Gordon. But yes, that is the plan as of now. Okay. It's not available now. I believe. Was there any more changes to this, or is it good to go?
Oh no, it's good to go.
Okay, so I will probably upload it to our at least to the Facebook page, if not also to our resource pages when we're done the show. Okay, and okay, Mike's getting an extra checkbox there, so
Thank you, Mike.
Ready.
Appreciate it.
He's
Okay,
just
now-
trying to get back on the list again.
I know he got in the list from the last comment for it. He's got an extra.
He's securing his position.
Yes, I would agree with that. Okay, this I don't think anyone expected. I believe this is the new map. Keith, you want to tell me nay or yay?
You can't hear me laughing. Yes, it is. I want to see if this is the yes. So, it's spoiling the surprise if I say what it is, but
Well, we've had some posts on plate.
This is right outside of Houston.
Yeah.
I can scroll down. I got the whole thing.
Yeah,
here.
so this is the 8-map historical.
This is the 8-map historical for the next 2 games.
Yeah.
And so there's going to be a scenario on the top 4 maps and a scenario on the bottom 4 maps, but the one that's coming out is going to be this scenario on the top 4 maps, right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, the top 4 is with the Brits.
Yeah. So 49, 50, 51, 52 are the bottom 4. So what you're going to see
No. You just saw the top 4. These are the bottom 4 down here.
49.
Here we go.
The top.
Yeah, 49, 50, 51, and 52.
Right. That's the top.
Which centers
4.
on the city of Minden.
Right. That old that brown there is a new terrain. It is dense urban, and that is the core of the city of Minden, actually. But you can see how big it is because of all the suburbs around it.
Yeah.
So the scenario, the 4-map scenario that's going to. The 4 maps and the 4-map scenario that are going to come with Blood and Fury, assuming the Kickstarter goes all good, are going to be there's going to be a scenario on this map, on the set of maps. Basically.
Isn't this new terrain 2 over here when I'm circling my mouse?
Yes. So if you want to zoom in on that, and a little to the right.
So what's their effect?
So, well, the dense urban. That's why I wrote the rules, because I don't have it off the top of my head because I haven't played in a while. Dense urban basically makes it's harder to move in. Vehicles have a tougher time moving in there. I just think it's tough enough in cities. The one in the middle there is light industrial. And basically it's kind of like an obscuring terrain, but it gives you a defensive bonus. Yeah. And it can represent anything from docks to factories to truck yards to rail yards, which actually these particular ones are.
Strip malls.
Strip malls. Anything that's a large light industrial complex where it there are odd lines of sight, but at the same time, if there's enough of it, you're not going to be able to see through it. So we treat it as obscuring terrain, but it actually has a defensive bonus.
With the dense urban, the big change is that vehicles have reduced firepower while they're in that hex. So you don't want to see your chieftain in one of those reddish hexes because he's going to lose a die on it if he's firing out of it.
Once again, Lee Playtester has the latest rule. I have all of them.
What about these over here, gentlemen?
What are you looking at? That's those are actually partially colorized.
It's still a work in progress. I forgot.
Yeah, it's still a work in progress over there. Yeah, Mark Von Mars is going to let us know when that's finalized.
I believe you guys hit a McDonald's on this map somewhere, correct?
No, but we do have a clover leaf. So we were looking for a way to describe a clover. In the lower left corner there, you see that trapezoid with the roads run tightly around with the light industrial in the middle. And we were looking for a way to do a clover leaf because it's heavily highway area. It's basically an Autobahn. And that's one of the exits. And we're like, well, do we draw it on there? Do we have special rules? Like, no. And light industrial covers it because you get those big giant pillars that you get weird lines of sight, but there's definitely cover. So light industrial is coming really handy. It's really going to expand into a lot of the modules and games as we go. It's just really handy to have.
Okay, that's the last.
And the bird goes straight down the middle, up and down is the Vaser, and then in the northern maps you have the middle land canal cutting across.
Oh, we do. Yeah, we do have a new. It's not a river. It's basically a a major river, which we're treating the canal as. If you scroll back to the top of the map, the Vassal River is pretty wide, but the lateral here, the Midland Canal, I guess the best place to look at it is left of that little lake in the middle. And you're not going to be able to see it, I don't think, on this unless we zoom really close in, but it has a border on it. And the one thing about that is because these should be like 20-foot high cement walls, it's a canal. You can't, basically you can't do amphibious movement across it because you can't get your BMP up a 20-foot vertical cement wall. So it's very different fighting for those bridges than it is fighting for regular river bridges where you could possibly flank it. The other thing is we do have a tunnel terrain. Right now, we have what we think is the final draft of the tunnel rules, but it may be a little complicated. We may try to simplify it. But if there's an in tunnel marker, and when you enter a tunnel hex on either side, it's a hex side actually, but it points into a hex on either side. You can be in the tunnel. If you're in the tunnel, your line of sight is restricted. But on the other hand, line of sight to you is also restricted, so you can sort of hide in the tunnels if you want. I think that's all the new terrain we have. Because of the interesting terrain, we have some reservoirs on top of the hill in the upper right there, center upper right. That's not actually a lake; that's a reservoir, and it is up on that elevation. I double checked that. It's going to be a fascinating map. There's lots of urban, but there's lots of wide open shots to be had. And that's what I got. Anything else, Jeff?
Nope. Yeah, but once all 8 maps are put together, we have a pretty large scenario. So that a couple of Soviet regiments and 3 or 4 battalions of the Allies, as well as 2 Soviet heliborne battalions as well.
Crossing the mighty Vassal. So these are the Vassal crossing. So it's a major British objective is to prevent these crossings. At least we think it was at the time.
Yeah.
Okay, here's some I'm trying to look at this. Okay, so they want to know if the map are going to be compatible with the other maps in the game.
Oh, absolutely. However, the one thing we decided to do in this, the internal board edges, because we wanted this to be, we didn't want, there's some weird things that happen when you make it geomorphic on with 8 pieces, and so we didn't want that. I'll spare the description of it, but basically we didn't want that. So we made the internal borders are not geomorphic, but the outside borders on all these maps are still geomorphic. So you can hook them up to other maps. So for example, Dave, you scroll to the top, please.
He's at the top.
Oh, he's at the top. Okay. So map 49, the left edge and the top edge are geomorphic and will fit any other World War 85 map. Map 50, top edge and the right edge. But those internal edges and the bottom edges, they're not. They're exclusive to this set of maps. So you can put these on the edge of an area you want, or you can build off of this. So we've maintained as much geomorphicness as we can and still have the historical flavor without interfering with the battlefield itself that we're trying to depict here. So it's sort of, we found this sweet spot between historical depiction and still maintaining, geomorphic usefulness.
Yeah.
Okay, here's some questions for you. Hold on, gentlemen. I believe we decided not to do winterized maps this time around, right?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, so there'll be no winterized maps.
We had to cut the box weight down somehow.
Okay, that answer is yes, I believe, right?
Yeah. Not Jay. As I said, as I just described, the internal ones on this are not, but the outside ones are geomorphic, and you can combine them with Storming the Gap and any other map.
Potentially, you could have a 16 map section map, just combining the defense of Frankfurt and the Minden map.
I mean, you could have more because
side to side or lengthwise.
All of the defense of Frankfurts are geomorphic, which is where we found this thing. So you could have both of them, and then whatever other maps you can add on the outside, and you can have as many maps as you want.
Yeah. There won't be a T-shirt in the Kickstarter as an add-on. We might have one outside that you can just order whenever we get it up there. But as of now, no, we're gonna trim the Kickstarter down for weight. because the shipping was just outrageous before. Can you only imagine what it's going to be now, or what it'll be when the game is available? And so a lot of the stuff we wanted to fit into our box. That's the rule. Darren, who, if you see a red dot on my shirt, it's from Darren. Okay. If it does not fit in a box, he's going to hurt one of us. And it's me. He's told me he's going to hurt. And it's really, I know everyone wants mounted maps and 40 counter sheets, but no one wants to pay the shipping or have the 5-foot deep box and all the other stuff. So there has to be some give and take, guys. And that's pretty much what we're trying to do there.
I mean, you're still going to get in Blood and Fury 7 counter sheets like you had in Storming the Gob.
Yeah, we're trying to put the weight, use the weight for the counter sheets, because that's something that you really can't, change. Unless we change printers, that may change things, but that is not set in stone yet. The paper maps are, because a lot of people, I'm going to say it's about probably 60-40, but they like to play on the plexiglass. And then some of the people want the mounted maps. We went with the paper because if you go with mounted maps, you're kind of, screwing the people who play with plexi because it's not flat. Okay. And then the people who don't want to pay for the extra shipping costs, you're thickening the box quite a bit with a mounted map. Now we may, and it's a real possibility, we may provide a folded mounted map as a one piece. Okay. As an add-on or something you buy after the Kickstarter. None of this stuff will be available during the Kickstarter. It'll be the game and boom in your hands. Okay, that's what we're trying to do. Will there be there probably will be a canvas map. It will not be, again, during the Kickstarter. It'll be something afterwards. It'll be a very limited edition because they're very expensive to make. And it'll be on those first come, first serve, type of things like we did the last times.
Cool.
Any other questions on the maps? You guys want to add anything to this?
No.
I think I know.
No, just Dave. If you have a minute, I may have an idea regarding the production situation, but we can take this offline.
Okay.
That sounded like a real meeting.
Worst type.
Any more questions out there?
Not Jay was asking about the unit data cards for miniature play. Will they be included in Blood and Fury?
That's a good question. There's a plan to make them, but I have to leave that to David for production weight considerations.
I guess the first and easiest way to answer that is if it fits in the box. That's really going to be my first question.
Right.
I will say that I believe we plan to put them together. Okay. I don't know they're going to be part of the Kickstarter yet because we put everything in the box already. Okay. And I think we're at, is it 8.5 pounds? And we had
I hope not, but
yeah, I forget what it was, but we actually doubled the thickness of the box, guys. And when we took it to the shipping experts, and we'll use that word loosely here, they told us a lot of the damage, believe it or not, was all the way in the box. When they dropped it like that, would actually blow the box out. Some of you guys sent pictures where the box is blown from the inside out, which to me sounds amazing. But when they actually showed us a test where they dropped the box, and it wasn't like they dropped it from 50 feet. They're dropping it from standing up 6 feet, let's say. And enough, if it gets the right angle, it can actually break the box. And that's why we were getting seam errors and breaks like that. We're trying to find a way to get around that particular issue. So
not Jay is a patient man.
Okay, I'm going to, and a lot of this, guys, is I'll say this before Keith even does. I'm going to put up on the screen some counters, and I guess a lot of people ask about the UK counters.
Mm-hmm.
So let me just see how I can blow this up in such a way that you guys can see this. Just get rid of that. Did we answer this question, you guys?
Yes, that's what we were just talking about.
Okay. All right. So let me just see if I can blow this up.
And if we didn't answer it, then not Jay will take my head. So yeah, I'll have to deal with that.
And how much space will that take up? Wow, that's a lot of units.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So
1-to-1.
let me know if there's anything particular you can see here. If you can see it, I can scroll through.
I can. Yeah, keep scrolling. Scroll on down. Just keep going. Keep going past the HQs. All right, stop there. Go back up one. There we go. Challenger. Okay, so here's your challenger. It is one mean opponent. Has reactive armor. Has that 120 millimeter cannon. It is to be feared. That's the thing that people want. They want their challengers. On the other hand, and it has enhanced move and fire. If we scroll down a few to the chieftains, there you go. They're nothing to shake a stick at either because they still have that 120. They just don't have the enhanced move and fire, and they don't have quite the armor that the challenger has. But and they're a little bit slower. But other than that, they're that 120 gun. You don't need to move far to use that. Scroll on down. Let's see if we can find some of the smaller stuff.
Reach out and touch someone.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, keep going down. Oh, there's the new leaders for the British. That's Colonel Harris. That's the FE-432, basically an infantry carrier. Scroll on down to go below the FE-432. Here we go. This is the FE-433 Abbott self-propelled artillery. It's not great, but at least it's there. It's better than nothing in a way. And it does have half decent range. Not a particularly great vehicle from what the research indicated. And we played it by the numbers like we did everything else, but at least it's there. That's the British self-propelled artillery. Other than, I think, is there an M109? I don't know. We'll find out. So scroll on down. There's the Fox Scout car. Although I'm sorry, they're using it as light armor there, not as a recon. There is a recon version. If you go a couple down there, Dave.
I don't. I'm kind of skipping through because it takes so long to load. Just so you know.
All right. So here's your Harrier. We have the Harrier and we have the Tornado. I believe they are both in there in the counter mix. I have to look at my latest spreadsheet. This is fun. This is your Hummer with swing fire missiles, just as nasty as the Jeep Tow. A little nastier because a little bit more range with the swing fire. And if you go towards the bottom, is your basic British infantry, the thin red line. Jump toward the bottom, pick some tip of veal down at the bottom, and that can complete our tour. The Javelin for surface to air missiles. Porter. Go down to the Saracen. Oh, there's your M109. So you're not without.
What's the one you want me looking for?
The Scimitar or the Scorpion. Right. So here's a recon Scimitar. Light armor, definitely very light, but because they're fast and recon, they can call in indirect fire from those M109s we just saw. And then if you want to show them the Tornado last, which is second from the bottom, and there's a Scorpion, same thing, different regiment. There we go. And there's the Tornado. And that's a brief tour. That's not everything, but that's a brief tour of some of the British that'll be showing up.
No duct tape comes in the game at this moment. Okay, and we have some other gentleman who's got a question for you. There we go.
The British did not have Hummers. I have to go back to my research, but I don't know what to say other than I'd have to go back to my research because it was a while ago since we did this. And basic stuff like that is like, well, they didn't have Jeeps necessarily, but they probably did. I'll take a look.
Land Rover.
It went through a process, so I'm hoping that didn't slip through the cracks there, but I'll definitely take a look.
Okay. Any other forces, any other particular vehicle from the Soviets, the U.S., or West Germans?
I'm sorry, what was that question again?
Okay. Samuel says he was there.
You were there. Excellent. All right. Well, you're an excellent reference then. So, I mean, I just go with the sources that I have. Anecdotal evidence is certainly acceptable. I will go and just double check what I have. And then I'll let me ask you this. What vehicle did have the swing fire on it? Do you know off the top of your head?
So when he's looking to answer, what do you want me showing Soviet, U.S., or West German forces?
Are there any
Soviets.
Soviets we don't have any different units?
Yes. Yeah, there are. We can go to the Soviets.
I'm here. Tell me what you want to look for.
Let's go on down to. I'll take a look at the pontoon deployed and the pontoon. So now we have pontoons deployed. You have pontoon bridges, and we'll have rules for those. And the pontoons come on trucks, and combined with engineers, you'll be able to build ferries and pontoon bridges. I don't think we have. Yeah, so we go down on the T-64s. So I've got Soviet T-64s, a little lighter on the armor, but still that big gun. Yeah, you can show the T-80. And so, you'll have your usual T-80s. If you'll scroll up to, as your usual Schulte, the Mi-2 hoplite. So along with your usual Mi-8s and Mi-24s, you have the Mi-2 hoplite. If you want to go to the one below that, there you go. And it's got missiles. It's got, I think it's firing off. Not sure if it's Sagers or one of the other ones that has a minimum range there. If you go up to the BTR 70s. Okay, as opposed to the BTR 60s. And then you've got a 120 millimeter mortar, please.
Isn't there the BMP2s?
Yeah, oh yeah, the BMP2s, yeah. You're scrolling down on the BMP2s. There's a bunch of BMP2s. So there's your BMP2s.
Nice.
Up here's Samuel's answer to
the Land Rover? Okay. Well, let me take a look into it. So thank you for input, Samuel. I appreciate it. Although, it's like it's going to be just as light if it's a Land Rover.
Hey, did any Soviet units change value that was already in the older games, or they're all pretty much still the same because you got it right the first time?
The values are the same. It's just we have additional units that we didn't have in Storming the Gap because we were able to explore with the counter mix a little bit more.
Yeah.
So, like I said, you're going to have little things that are slightly different, mortars that you didn't have. Let's try to think what else. Yeah, the U.S., because there's a limited force, it tends to be it's just a mix of M60s, M1s, Bradleys.
Anything we take want me to look at them? No.
Everybody always likes looking at the M1s. We should take a look.
And we do have some AH-64s.
Yeah, we do have some Apaches.
Here's a plow, please, every time.
There we go. There's the A10. Right.
And here's the West Germans. You guys got anything here particularly want me to look for?
Yeah, way down at the bottom, they have their own tornadoes. And then they're also going to have a small Luftland contingent. So they're going to have Huey transport helicopters. So if you got the UH-1, please. All the way at the bottom. There you go. West Germans also going to have parachute infantry. That's their Luftlands. And they'll have M48A5s, M109s. Oh, here's my fun one. So there's the Kraka tow.
Okay. Where's that? It's
under K. West German K. KRAK. Yeah, so this vehicle it's tiny and airdroppable. It has tows. And there's a video somewhere on YouTube that you should look at because it's really fun. It is an extremely tiny vehicle. It's foldable. So, but it's not particularly fast, but it does carry.
I suppose the armor protection is kind of thin, right?
Right. Yeah. There's that's why it's not it's an unarmored vehicle. So, oh, here we go. More information. Yeah, we have the FV438. Atlanta. Okay, so now we've got some back and forth here. See, this is sort of what I run into, where we'll get primary sources that'll say, you could mount on a Land Rover, you couldn't mount on a Land Rover, what was mounted where. So that's why I have to go back and I have to go find something that says that, if I find something and maybe I just made a mistake, which I hope not, and have a swing fire that was too heavy to mount on a Land Rover, it's like, well, then we can't have that at all. What do we have? You see how this is for one counter. Now we multiply by the number of counters. But now I got to go. Now I got to go look into it. So for sure, because if it's too heavy to mount, it's too heavy to mount. Then it doesn't make any sense. So. But that's what I do. So thank you guys for your input. I appreciate it. I have my homework for the week.
Okay, guys. Well, I don't think no one's asking any more questions. So I'm going to leave this open to anything. Steve, Devin, Nicholas, anybody wants to jump in on? Mike, Jeff, Keith?
I just been thinking about the overlays for the new scenarios where we have those large areas. So I'm going to be looking at see if we can do some kind of overlay for the map instead of a bunch of little objective counters all over that it just kind of to look like what you've got on your map, that there's a region
great
in there. So we'll see what comes of that.
Great.
Okay. Oh, I found this because no one. There you go. How's that, guys?
There we go. See, Second Fleet North Atlantic. I like it. I tell you, that P3
What do you think?
is great. Because he fire off 8, go back, pick up 8 more, come back.
Okay, and just so you guys know, next Saturday, okay, we're going to have a lot of tacticals like this. It's going to update you on the computer games, the board games, what shows are being done where, what, and why, the order we're doing them, what our plans going forward are. A lot of you guys don't know, Nicholas is also working, or basically we're just waiting for maps for When Tigers Fight, which is the Chinese and Japanese and Lock and Load Tactical.
That is correct.
So, okay, here's a question that came in on the Ask Us. Okay. No, I'm not unfocused.
I am.
Now, just so you know, guys, we've said this before. The guys doing the programming for Lock and Load Tactical and not the guys doing the board games. The programming, definitely not. Okay, and Tom gets all of his programming stuff from the board game guys. Okay, some of the stuff needs counters. That's what delays the production. That's why you're seeing more computer games come out for Lock and Load Tactical, at least compared to board games. It's not that we're dropping one over the other. It's not that we favor one. Personally, I like to just make computer games because when we're done, we hit a button and it's out there and everyone can start playing. But because I think our support for the board game community should stand for itself with the companion books, the Vassal modules, the tabletop similar modules, having the library online, providing data cards you can use them with miniatures. I mean, I think we're trying to cover all your gaming habits within reason. But that's next Saturday, 1 p.m., same time. I expect a call from Kurt any minute now. Okay, and there is some questions. Okay, this is for Keith, Jeff, and everybody else.
15 are in the books.
Okay, 15, and someone's asking this question, guys.
Not deployed to British forces in Germany is the note that I have.
Okay.
It was issued to the British Army in '83, but not to the forces in Germany.
Okay. Will there be a lack of a tactical set in the World at War world?
Oh, you mean other than what?
Well, there is one now. Here's Against the Red Star is technically that. And there's at least Red Gauntlet, I believe Devin designed.
Yeah.
Devin, correct?
Well, the Heroes Against the Red Star is not specifically using the same universe as the World at War is. There's a lot of similarities between the two, but they are two separate, different backstories. I think it was Mark Walker who was working on the backstory for when he did Heroes of the Gap and everything that would eventually.
Yeah, which is why you have Fighting in the Streets of Paris, which
yes.
You know,
Let's not go there.
you know what I think about that. So
No, please.
But Javin, you did what, 5 scenarios based on the World War 85 background, right?
There were some similarities between World at War scenarios that got ported over to Red Gauntlet, yes.
Okay.
But it is definitely not the same. Like I said, for the Red Gauntlet, there was the Black Prince division, which doesn't exist at all in the World at War universe with the T90s or whatever it is.
Right.
Plus, I made the decision to make Paris not a free city, mainly because I wanted the Paris barricades to go up again, like Paris has always been infamous for doing. And literally, I was listening to a podcast on the French Revolution of the 1780s and 1790s, and come to find out, every time there's anything that pops up, the French just love putting barricades up all over the city, and they put lots of barricades up. And I'm thinking, you know what? That would be really cool in a World War III setting. So I decided, now this is all on me. This isn't Jeff Lewis. This isn't Mark Walker. This isn't Keith. In Red Gauntlet, Paris was not declared a free city in my world, just because I wanted the street barricade fights. So if anybody's got a complaint, Nicolas, with Paris not being declared a free city, direct all the hate to me.
My complaint is that basically you cross the border, you get hit by 3 or 4 SSGNs worth of nukes. So that sort of solves everybody's problems at once.
Right. Well, we're going on the assumption that nukes weren't deployed. So, but yes, Doctrine for France is nope, nobody's stepping over our border. So.
Oh, hi Philip. I'm just going on what I read in Jane's AFE. That's where
I think they were assigned to units that were in the UK and that were supposed to be
well, if they were in the UK and they were scheduled to reinforce the BAR, yes, absolutely, yes. Are they in the counter mix? No, they're not, because we're starting with stuff that's already there.
Yeah. So going back to
I did want a battalion, but we didn't get to that.
Yeah. He did.
So the answer to this question, yes, there might be a box set coming out, but not tomorrow again, guys. All right, does anyone have, on the team, guys, is anything you guys want to bring up or ask, or, I mean, just for you guys alone?
Asking me to do improv.
Oh, come on, you're good at that. All right.
I'll just say this, though. If you're on Facebook, please join the World at War 85 group. We have a good group of guys there, and I know when I've been playtesting, I'll post a lot of pictures and commentary and answer any questions, as I'm designing scenarios. And I always love to see that from other guys too. So
generally the team is, including me, are on Facebook. They tend to get to things faster than I do. BGG we're on. They definitely get to that faster than I do. So anywhere you have a question, but in the end, if you have a question, go to the forums. I always get the forum stuff. So, we're always available to answer your questions, to be sure. And as everybody knows, we don't say no.
we really do. And I think one of the things I'm most proud of the guys we're working with here, not just on this project, on other projects, is we really do listen to you guys. And I know Keith, he won't tell you this, but as soon as his video camera's off, he's going to be breaking out those books and looking, probably calling Jeff up too. I tried to find it. What the hell is this? Why did we get this? Is this wrong?
Actually, no, he's wrong. I already did it because I keep it right here. But that's why I had the answer.
You'll be
verifying. It's old school Google.
You'll be verifying that you didn't make a mistake.
Right. No, I don't want to make mistakes. I really don't. But like when Philip has a perfectly valid question and he's got this insight, yes, but then I have to actually pin it down to something that's in a time frame that fits the concept of the game, along with the fact that the game's an alternate reality game. So, I have to be able to do that. So in this case, I remember as soon as I read it, I'm like, yeah, I think I drew the line on that when I talked to Jeff of we're working with the counter set, if you will, of what's already in Germany, even though later, expansions may have additional troops come in, or maybe we'll put those troops and send them somewhere else. Maybe they'll end up in Norway, that kind of thing. Be Saxons in Norway, but so I don't want I want you guys to understand. It's like, please bring this to my attention. I can't always do anything about it from a production standpoint. It's worth bringing up. What was that?
You said you tell me the same stories too, guys.
I tell you the same story. Yeah, right.
All right, so guys, then we're going to, I guess, call this a wrap, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, and so we'll be hopefully this show went pretty long. It's usually
yeah, it really did.
Well, it is. We haven't done one in a long time, and we covered a lot of ground. And I will answer this question: we did not cover Keith's air game because it's very far in the future, so there's no reason.
Far out. Although Mo said he had fun with it because I had fun with it too, but Mo didn't play it the second day we were testing it at that convention where we got so much more work done. I haven't integrated that in yet because we've been working on this stuff.
Right. All right, gentlemen. So I want to thank you all for coming by. And again, any questions afterwards, Facebook, we'll take the time to answer it, of course, and we'll go from. Oh, let me just make sure there's 2 more questions. Of course there are. Let's see. Will World of War 85 go digital? It will go digital as soon as I nail down someone to pick up the code for Nations at War. I have 2 meetings this week to do just that. And so as soon as we get someone, it's pretty much going to be the same code. It might be another development team. We'll see. But right now, yes, that is definitely the plan to take it. And one more questions from Brent.
He does.
Actually, it sounds like a metal band, but
hey, multiple uses. Thank you, everybody, for
guys. I want to
spending time with us.
Thank you
All
for
right.
coming by, and have a great holiday season. We don't see you next week, and we'll go from there.
Yep. And Dave, I'll ping you offline for that
Just wait 1
production
second, and
thingy.
As soon as we're done, we'll still be here.
Okay.
All right, take care, guys.
Take care.
Well, that is all you have for this episode. Keep gaming, and may God bless you and keep you until next time. On the air is a Lock and Load Publishing production.